Big Blue Nation, we got another one. Mark Mitchell, welcome to Kentucky. Pope kept a spot, and he played it just right. Now Mitchell's a Wildcat, blue and white. Mark Mitchell, welcome to the Blue. Rupp gonna rock when number 25 comes through. Mark Mitchell, hear Big Blue roar. From the paint to the three, yeah, we're coming for more. Mitchell, Big Blue, give 'em hell. Cats, cats.
Nothing like starting off a show with Doug Fahrenheit talking about Mark Mitchell signing with the Cats. Welcome everybody to the Stay Hot podcast. As always, I am your host, Patrick Kelch. And a few housekeeping items before we start here. Thank you to our sponsors, 14K Sports Media Productions. Thank you for you guys showing up. Hit that like and subscribe. And let's get started with a very special guest. I'm glad he could join us tonight. I was a little late getting him the link because I was a little late getting started tonight. But as always, we appreciate Mr. Kentucky himself, Mark Maggard. Mark, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
No, it's good to see you again, Patrick. It's been had quite a few things happen since we last chatted.
Yeah, I know. And I've been following you on Twitter the last few days, kind of fighting the good fight. And, just in this, one of these things about, the fan base that just kind of irks me is it seems like sometimes our fan base is never happy, never satisfied. And what I'm talking about from that is, we get Mark Mitchell, he commits, which we kind of figured that was going to happen. All signs pointed to him becoming a Kentucky Wildcat. And, the first few tweets I see is, well, are we ever going to fill the fifth or the assistant coaching position? Are we ever going to fill that? I feel like we're cheating. I'm glad we got Mitchell, but I feel like we're playing unfair. And I'm like, now what's going on here? You all starved for Mark Pope to recruit, bring in the players we need to be competitive. And as soon as that happens, you feel like we're doing it illegally. You feel like, and I don't know why they would say that because we're playing by the same rules everybody else is,
Yeah, I think it's even more than that, Patrick. And maybe not just Kentucky fans, but fans in general. Like, we all know that Kentucky fans are a target online. Like, people love to make fun when we're not winning and all the whiffs, all that BS, But I think a lot of people are not giving Pope credit for this. They're acting like he just got lucky. This is not luck. Every bit of this was intentional. Like he didn't hire an assistant coach because he was waiting to see what these rulings are. Like he knew that there were going to be players coming back, that this fifth-year eligibility thing. That's why they had Denzel enter the portal. They knew he wasn't coming back, and they knew he was going to get a fifth year. They knew other players were going to get fifth years. So like this whole thing of he finally got lucky is just ridiculous.
And the one thing I saw was, from some guy who had the word BBN in his biography or his bio on Twitter, said that, the only way this happened was because, like you just mentioned, it took a court ruling for Pope to get this guy. It took a fifth year of eligibility. It took all this other stuff. Nobody's wanting to give credit where it's due. They're wanting to say Pope lucked into all this. When I agree with you, I feel a lot of this stuff was strategic.
Well, look, let's not. Obviously, there's luck in everything that we do in this sport, right? Like basketball is a game of millimeters. The shot goes in or it doesn't. Is that luck? I don't know. Like you tell me, right? There's probably some luck to all of this. Do you get the right call at the right time? Like every bit of this has some luck to it. But what you have to do is be prepared for that luck. When the luck shows up, be prepared for it. That's why we didn't take a 15th player. We had one spot left. You could have took a 15th player, or you could took a number one, number two player. We waited for the number one, number two, left the 15 open, right? So all of this was intentional, and I give Pope credit for it. I mean, there is a section of the UK fan base that's hope for Pope, and then there's Pope the dope section. There always will be. I think it's a minority, but anytime something kind of goes the one way, then the hope for Pope people start cheering, and anytime it goes the other way, the Pope's a dope people start cheering. So it's like you're always going to have a little bit of both. I think there's an online you see a different representation than you do in real life. Like the people online are the 2% of the crazies that are, they kind of they live and die for UK sports, and they're on the message boards and they're on Twitter every day. People like us, Patrick, the crazies like us, right? And I don't think that that's the majority of UK fans, to be honest with you, but it is the vocal minority, let's just say. So I think when you look at this, the moves that Pope has made since the end of the season have all been really, really good, in my opinion. Like, I like the fact that we've let guys go that we probably could have reached for, that we did last year. We didn't do that this year. I like the fact that we kick a bunch of tires. I love the fact that we have a bunch of whiffs. Give me all the whiffs you want to give me. Like kick every tire you can and then take the best, right?
And that's kind of the one thing we've said on here is cast that wide net,
Yeah.
Even last week when, right before Kohler announced, although most people that followed that situation knew where Kohler was going to go, felt like he was heading back home. And but, you hadn't heard Kentucky mentioned with his name in a week or so. And then next thing you know, they're on a 2.5-hour Zoom. And that leads a lot of people to believe that, well, they're on a 2.5-hour Zoom. They must be throwing all their eggs in Kohler's basket. What happened to Mitchell? I like the fact that we're throwing our net out there so wide that we've got a backup to the backup to the backup plan. You can never, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's just not how recruiting works. Recruiting's not, that's the guy I want, let me go get him. No. Recruiting is, let's look at all the players available from the number one A guy to the Z guy, and then let's figure out which of these guys we have the best chance with. Maybe the best player isn't my number one option because I know that he's got all this other stuff happening, and maybe we're not going to be able to afford him. So it's like, and the funny thing of me is, look, like there's been we weren't the only school that didn't get Kohler. Why aren't they whiffing? Right?
Well,
like, why didn't Pat Kelsey have a big whiff? They offered the kid.
I think a lot of that is because, and I've talked about this for the last couple of weeks, I feel like the Kentucky fan base is one of the few fan bases that follow recruiting, follow these kids as close as we do, that we actually know who they're going after before they commit. I believe some fan bases don't know so-and-so's a part of the team until they actually commit, or don't even know that Pat Kelsey is going after a kid until they commit. Louisville may not be a good example because I think some of their fan base is pretty passionate too, but like there are some schools out there that I don't feel even know who's going to be on the team until first game.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the Louisville fans were making fun of us, Kentucky fans. I hear it as much as anybody, right? That oh yeah, you guys, you must not like your team, like you're going after these fifth-year guys, and it was like a negative until they got Trimble. As soon as Seth Trimble was available, oh, it's the best thing ever. What, did Pat Kelsey also not like his team? You guys been bragging for the last 3 months about the great guards you got, and now you're signing another guard. What happened there, right? And then Pat Kelsey, they were going after Kohler too.
Right.
The fact that Pope was able to get him to a 2.5-hour Zoom and Pat Kelsey couldn't get him to take a phone call, like you want to call Pope the idiot, say Pope whiffed. To me, that looks like a much bigger Pat Kelsey whiff than it does a Pope whiff. Now, look, I don't think any of this stuff is a whiff. I'm like, if those are the rules, then let's logically look at what your team and coach did, because it was a lot less successful than what Pope did.
Well, and you know how that goes. It's only a whiff when it benefits your narrative.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Pope whiffs, but Kelsey never does. But and I think and this as well as I do. And when you recruit at the highest level, and you're recruiting high school kids, and you're recruiting portal kids, if you're actually doing any kind of recruiting whatsoever, there's going to be whiffs. You cannot get every single kid you talk to. And I don't even know. The only whiff I would really consider, and I know my chat will disagree, but I feel like the Stokes was a whiff just because we invested so much time, energy, and money.
Of course it was. I mean, I think maybe, Donnie Freeman might be a bit of a whiff, but so what? Like, that's this is not, there's no scores kept for how efficient you are with the recruits you talk to. There's no prize for this, right?
And
In fact, it's
also,
quite the opposite.
and every single person you talk to that doesn't choose Kentucky is not a whiff. You know,
Let me also say this: in the current state of the game, every conversation you have is building on next year, because these agents, they might represent Kohler this year, but the number 2 player in the country next year. And if you've already gone through these conversations with them 2 or 3 times, you are building these conversations are building that connection with these agents, so that when they get another guy next year or the year after, right? Like the whole thing with Costa Rica. Look, now I don't know about that because of the specific agent that they're working with, but that agent gets a lot of kids out of Turkey, and Turkey is where Pope played 2 years as a pro in that exact team that Costa Rica was on. So I feel like, and Derek Willis plays for that team now. We talked about that, I think, last time I was on. So having these conversations, whether you end up with a kid or not, it's building your network of like how big can you make that network. So all of these conversations have value, whether they come off with the kid committing or not. They still have value.
That's a good point too. And I think I'm just so unfamiliar with the whole recruiting process, because at the high school level, I've never coached a kid who's been recruited at the D1 level. I've coached some NAIA kids and things like that, and it's just a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
So, at the D1 level, but I don't know if I'm happier that Mark Mitchell committed to Kentucky, or happier that I don't get the question asked 1,000 times a week, who we getting with that 15th spot. I'm glad our roster is now fully constructed. And if anybody is out there that won't give Mark Pope credit for the roster that he's constructed this year, then they're just blatantly hating or just turning a blind eye to it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was a fan of Kohler because of the way he plays and what this team was missing. For me, he was 1A and Mark Mitchell was 1B.
That's the way I felt.
But having said that, I'm not complaining. Like, I would have taken either one of them. I didn't think Hall was necessarily a take. I think that I think that Hall probably wasn't going to be a take. I didn't think K. Tyson was a take. I would have rather just gone with what we had. I was pretty happy when Milan signed up. I was like, man, we're going to be a top 10, top 12 team. I think now we're top 4 to 7. I think we're the second team in the SEC. I don't think there's another better roster than we got in the SEC. I like Texas. I like Tennessee, but I like Arkansas. I think those are the next 3. But I think it's clearly Florida is 1A, Kentucky is 1C, and then everybody else is on that B tier. Or there's 3 or 4 teams in that B tier, and I think you can put Texas, Arkansas, and Tennessee in any order. I think Alabama's right there with them, right below them. But I think that's how the SEC will shake out. But we play the games for a reason.
Hold on. I'm watching WNBA right now, and there's women on the floor trying to fight Ennis Cantor. Ennis Cantor is in the building, standing on the baseline with his hands up, and Natasha Cloud from the Chicago Sky is trying to go at him.
That's crazy. That's crazy
Listen,
work right there.
And, oh my gosh. They're going to have to get something. They're going to have to get something under control.
Yeah.
Gosh. And what is Cantor doing? But
I love that stuff. I mean, I think it's ridiculous saying that men should be able to play in women's sports, but it is what it is. I'm based.
Well, and and I know from your tweets that me and you are on opposite sides of the aisle politically, and that's okay. But here's what I know: I'm not as far liberal as a lot of people, but I will say this: at no point in time should someone like Ennis Cantor be able to apply or turn his name in for the WNBA draft. Regardless. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. But and I think it's taken away from the sport, for what those girls have worked hard to even be in the same conversation a lot of times but I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just caught my attention. What in the hell's going on here? What this is crazy.
That quote you put up from Crash is absolutely right. He said 75% of the whiffs were people that we never made an offer to. That's exactly right. I mean, everybody thinks because you have a conversation with somebody, now they've got an offer. It doesn't work that way. I mean, especially with transfer portal guys, you're going to have to kick a lot more tires because you don't have a year's worth of recruiting to build relationships, and you don't know what's happening, with their other options. With high
Right.
school, you can get a much better sense of things because there's a lot more people involved in it. To be honest with you, you got the AU coach, you got the high school coaches, you've got the family, you've got whoever the agents are. When portal comes, it's usually just agents. I mean, there's not a lot of there is no AAU coach controlling nothing. There's no high school coach controlling any of that part. And you're typically not talking to college coaches like where they came from, unless maybe, if you can get lucky, you can maybe have a relationship. Maybe somebody on that staff worked with somebody on your staff at some point, and you can kind of back channel and reach out. But those conversations don't happen nearly as much as it does in the high school ranks.
Right. And that's the one thing, when I look at the demographics on this show, when I look at the audience, we do have a lot of the elder audiences, the older, I'd say 55 and older is a lot of the audience. I'm not saying the majority, but there's a lot that listen to that age. And I just don't think all of them sometimes understand like the whole, the Twitter, the social media things, because if they read one thing on social media, I'm getting a direct message or something asking about, is this true? And it'll be like when when Kohler committed and Mark Mitchell entered the portal after he won his injunction, I had a guy reach out to me because a Kentucky fan who was being snarky said that BYU has reached out to Mark Mitchell. I had multiple people. Is this true? Is this true? We cannot lose another one to BYU. They've had our number. They beat us in this. And I'm just thinking, that.
Well, there's a pretty easy reason for that, and we can talk about it if you want. I mean, look,
sure.
You've got BYU, which is like the Mormon school, period. Right? They can only take a certain kind of player. Like if you go to BYU, you have to agree to not have premarital sex. You got to agree to not smoke, drink. No, like you can't go out late. Like it is a totally different experience. Sure. There is a certain subset of players that they have to go. It's kind of like being Harvard. If you play basketball for Harvard, you got to have a 4.5 GPA. You got to be super, super smart. Same thing with BYU. You've got to fit into that culture, which is a very, very religious culture, and they're not playing around with it either, right? So then you've got Mark Pope, who is probably the most famous Mormon coach out there at a premier top program in the country. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of looks from Mormon players. He was the head coach at BYU, so obviously that small subset, he was talking to every one of those players. So any player that BYU could possibly want to look at over the next couple of years, out of the transfer portal, Mark Pope recruited him at some level because it's a very small pool of people you can recruit at BYU. And what that means is if you're Kevin Young, who happens to be the great-great-grandnephew of Brigham Young, who started the religion, come on, man. What do you expect? The school with a great-great-grand-nephew of the guy who started – it's like Jesus being my grandfather. All the Christians are going to play for me, right?
Right.
So obviously people that are connected to one are going to be connected to Pope too. And that's just the way it is, right? Now, Pope doesn't have the limitations. Pope doesn't have to overpay for the Chandlers, and he doesn't have to overpay for the Rob Wrights or those types of kids. But those kids know that they can go to Kentucky and raise the bid. I'm okay with that. What do I give a shit for that? Doesn't bother me at all.
If I'm that kid, I'm doing it every time.
Of course. Yeah, look, what do you think Mark Mitchell was talking to other schools for? He's using other schools to raise his bid. This is how it's going to work. And if that upsets you, and if you're mad because somebody comes to talk to Mark Pope for 3 hours just to raise the price, well, number one, you don't know that's the case. Number two, Mark Pope may have many reasons for wanting to talk to that kid. It may be an agent relationship that he's trying to improve. It could be that he's helping the agent out by helping get that price up, and that's going to pay him back later. There is so many moving pieces to what's happening right now in college basketball that it's a lot more complicated than most people seem to think. Every time I see fans with takes on stuff, it's just so surface level. They're not thinking through the entire process. And probably, look, I get it, man. I mean, most of us, we've only got X amount of time during the day to think about this stuff. There's people like me and you that spend more time involved in it, and I spent 25 years working in it. But yeah, it's a complicated process. And here's what I would say: if stuff like that bothers you, just wait until they tip off. Right? You're not built to follow recruiting.
I've often said and asked the people on here that seem upset about it. I'm like, if that's your son or daughter going through the process, what would you advise them? Would you tell them to take as many visits as you can, drive up as much dollar value as you can? I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean,
and if we're going up against a kid that St. John's or Louisville or whoever is going to be going after, we should run up the price. We should be used to make them pay more to reduce their NIL budget, right? This is not the NBA where everyone's capped. Like there's no caps here. So the more we can make everybody else spend by making, if we can let a kid say Kentucky is one of my top choices, and that makes every other school bump up their price by $500K, great for us. Peanut Butter Posse made that point, and he's exactly right. It's smart of Kentucky to do it, right?
And I agree. And I just, like you said, though, if that's something that upsets you, because, like you said, you mentioned surface level. And the one thing I didn't think about that you just mentioned was Pope could be working on a relationship with that agent for a future player.
That's right.
You
That's
don't really
right.
know. And I wasn't thinking that deep myself. I never was upset, as far as driving the price up, because that's just the name of the game now. You're going to try to get as much money as you can out of whoever you can.
That's right.
But I still think, I think it says a lot after the couple years that Kentucky's had, the last 5 with Cal. I thought Pope's first year was solid, and then last year was a dumpster fire, in my opinion. There were some good parts to it, but overall, it wasn't the way we wanted it. And Kentucky's still moving the needle when it comes to those negotiations.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, last year, it wasn't what any of us wanted. I mean, obviously, there were still the injury bug. I hope we can stay away from that this year. I think we will. The players we have now, other than Kep Nang, I think are mostly going to be healthy. Cam had that surgery. He should be fine. But I think last year was more of a chemistry problem or as much a chemistry problem as it was an injury problem. For whatever reason, man, those kids did not want to play for each other. And I don't think you can a coach can't make that happen. Like, this is one of the reasons when you're working in the transfer portal, it's a lot more difficult because you don't have the time to invest in these people. You don't get a chance to really know who they are. And it's a little bit more risky taking a bunch of portal players from the chemistry point of view, right?
Correct.
Not from the – obviously, there's an advantage to the portal from an experience point of view, and these kids aren't going to be scared. Like, Mark Mitchell has played – Jesus. I mean, he's played 138 games.
Started 137 of 138, I think.
Yeah. It's like crazy how much this kid has played, yeah? And I'm sure we'll get into talking about what this team will look like with Mitchell here in a little bit, but
Crash made a good point a while ago. He said that it's pretty in the preseason, it's been pretty much Thomas Houck for Florida that's been SEC Player of the Year kind of, mentioned, and he says he averaged 17-6. Mitchell averaged 18-5 with 4 assists. So I mean, I don't expect Mitchell's numbers to be that high with Kentucky. I think at Missouri, he may have got the green light, a lot of possessions.
Oh, yeah. He controlled the ball. He was the first option. And he's going to be an option. Don't get me wrong. He'll be
absolutely
a top 3 option for Kentucky, but he's going to get it in different ways, right? He's not going to have to create everything on his own. I think Pope's offense is going to create a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. I think having Milan's a better passer than I think people make. But here's the thing, man. I think Mitchell is a much better passer than people seem to think he is. He's never been asked to pass the ball because when you're one of the top scorers in the NCAA, they want you shooting, not passing to a guy who's the 400th scorer in the NCAA. They want the 8th scorer in the NCAA to take that shot. But on this team, he's going to have other opportunities to make a better play, and I don't think he's going to be as exhausted. He's not going to play 35 minutes a game. He's going to have the opportunity to rebound more. There's going to be more space for him to operate and rebound. I mean, you have to realize he was the focal point of that entire Missouri team from the defense, and that really does beat you up a little bit. And playing 34 minutes a game, I don't care what shape you're in, that takes a toll on you.
Well, and you mentioned it today on Twitter, and I want you to tell the chat what you'd say. You talked about how, Mitchell's going to get his in different ways. Talk to what you put on Twitter
Yeah.
about his free throw, getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, he is elite at putting people in free throw problems, man. And I really, I don't think Pope has ever. When I look at the game plan and I see what they do, there seem to be a lot of opportunities that have passed us by where we have guys that are elite at drawing fouls, and when they get matched up with the guy who we want to put a foul on, they don't seem to capitalize on it. They don't seem to lean into that. I really hope that with people like Wilkins and Zoom, Moreno is great at drawing fouls, and Williams, he'll stir the pot, man. He is one of the best players in the country at drawing fouls. He's too big for smalls. He's too fast for bigs.
Yep.
So, like everybody, when he's got the ball, everybody's a potential foul to him. So, if we can really kind of get Pope to try to take advantage of those opportunities and draw fouls on the right people, then I don't care if we hit the shots. That guy's sitting on the bench for 10 minutes. To me, that's the important part. I want to hit the shot, but even if we're 50%, let's put the guy in foul trouble, put him on the bench, change the way he defends, change the way that entire defense is going to work because they've now lost one of their key people.
Well, and what was I going to say about? I lost my train of thought for a minute. How you said, be put in different spots or using well offensively to where you can put him in those positions to where he's got a bigger guy and it's going to make him faster. It's a mismatch. Put a smaller guy on him or whatever. Coaches that are elite offensively, like I think Pope is, know how to create those mismatches. They're going to, and it does worry me some that it kind of shocks me that Crash put in the chat that he was 11th in the SEC in assist rate. So that talks to his elite level passing, but it just seems like the games I watched, he was just so ball dominant. Like once he got the ball, it was back down, dribble. And
that's what he was asked to do.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is that what they?
Yeah.
Okay,
Dennis Gates
I didn't know if that was the style of player he was, but obviously he's not afraid to pass.
Yeah, agreed. And he passed more on Duke. He wasn't as ball dominant when he played at Duke, but when you go to Missouri as a McDonald's All-American, second team All-SEC player, they got how many guys do they have that are 6'9", 235 with a handle that can shoot the ball reasonably well, that can get to the rim, that's quick. Listen, Mark Mitchell is one of those kids that I don't want him to play point guard, but he can play 2 through 5. He got the skill set. He'd be a small 5, but he would create some problems. Whatever negatives he had playing at center, he would make up on the other end by causing some real trouble. If we want to go up against Florida with that front court, Mitchell could put some fouls on those guys pretty good. Marino's the same way. Listen, I really like this ad for that reason. The more I think about it, if you can really game plan for that and get some quick fouls on some key players, think of it this way. Last year when Owa had to sit on the bench for 10 minutes because he got 2 fouls early, how did we feel about it? Now do that for their best player. We were instantly, well, shit, there it goes, game over, right? 5 minutes in the game, we're complaining.
And and the one problem, I don't know, it's not a problem to me. Of course, as a coach, I'd love to have it, but I don't look at it as a negative. But it seems like to me, adding Mitchell, obviously, that's going to knock someone else down the depth chart. He's going to jump to the front as he should. But how do you feel like our depth plays out?
It gives us a lot more leeway for some of the guys that we know have an extra gear. Maybe they hit it, maybe they don't. Without him and Jai and Justin, they're going to have to hit that extra. One of them has to hit it, and the other one's got to get better, right? With this guy, he's a proven talent.
Right.
He could be 20% worse than he was at Missouri and still be a known quantity number 1 4 guy for us, right? And the reason I say that is not because I don't think Njae or Justin are going to be good, because I think they will be.
Right.
But now they don't have to be. There's some leeway.
I think it was going to take Njae some time to, I guess, adjust. The physicality, I think, would be a problem for him. McBride, I think, is a little bit more ready for the physicality just because of his size and the way he's built. But I think, we don't have to rely on them now for 15, 20 minutes a game.
Well, it allows us to play fast too. Like we can
Yeah.
run the shit out of people now. Like we've got depth where if we want to go balls to the wall for 4 minutes and gas everybody out, put in our second squad, that second squad ain't going to be that bad. Like
right. Our second squad wouldn't be the worst team in the SEC.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And especially, if Williams can do what we're hearing, if he's going to be like that kind of kid that can come in with having a pro for a father, like helps. Like we all seen the coaches' kids. Like coaches' kids, we love them for that reason, right? There's a reason coaches' kids do so well. Like people that have no. Hell, we can talk about Saul Smith if you want, man. I know that I don't want to bring up, get the chat.
I like Saul, honestly, but I thought Saul got a raw deal.
He did get a raw deal, but let's be honest. Like he played above his physical talent because of his IQ, right?
Right.
Pearl's kid, Stephen Pearl. He's a coach now, head coach at Auburn because of that IQ of being a coach's kid. Same thing with Williams, man. I know what these kids look like, man.
I think Williams is going to be a high energy guy. I think he can knock down the open shot consistently enough that you got to guard him. He's kind of built like a bulldog type guard, getting the paint. I definitely think he's going to be okay by season's end. But, I just feel like we got 11, 12 guys that might be able to play, but come postseason, there's no way we can play 11 and 12 guys, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think we will. He hasn't yet. At that point, you get down to 7.5, 8.
I don't know if we've
guys.
ever had that many, though. I don't know if we've ever had 12 guys worth playing, but
yeah, I'll give you that. But there's going to be, the cream's going to rise. And look, we could have a guy that doesn't play much that could have played, but the other guys just click better. Like it is what it is. Like sometimes that chemistry part of it, and it's probably going to come down to defensive effort, right? That's really probably what's going to separate that. Like we've got our starters. We know it's going to be Zoom, Wilkins, Milan now at the 3, and I'm happy with. But Mitchell could play 3. Like they could defend either guy, and that's what I really like about this. Because now what you've got is you've got a 4 guy who can also play 3, and a 3 guy who can also play the 4, and you can let Milan guard the guy who's going to hurt him the least.
Right. And
we can switch everything. Our first 5 can switch everything.
I'll tell you what surprised me, and I saw today, and of course I don't know who the guy was, but he put 3 kind of graphs, not really graphs, but more like charts, and he was kind of ranking where Kentucky was overall. He said they were anywhere between, I think he said 4 and 8th team in the country. But he also had our offensive game was anywhere between 6 and 10 in the country, and our defensive game was between 5 and 9. He had our defense ranked better than our offense, and I don't know if I agree with that, but both of them were in the same ballpark. But hopefully, because I think our offense will be elite level. I really do. I hope our defense can match.
Yeah. Holly, I'm not on KSR. I've been banned from KSR for months now.
No, but it says trying to caution everyone that there's still work to do to get Mitchell on board. I tried to defend him, but not sure it helped much. I don't think she's saying you were on there. I think they were bashing you, and you weren't even there to defend yourself. She was trying to defend you.
I don't know what still work to do to get Mitchell on board. Maybe she's talking about the legal stuff. Holly, is that what you're talking about?
Well, there's been a lot of speculation because I've had people ask me all day about, is he going to be eligible to play? And look at this. I'll even show you this right here. And this is from one of our own. Let me get it on the screen here real quick. But this is the kind of stuff that I just don't understand. All right. This was a tweet from Pope B-Ball. So I'm assuming he's a Kentucky fan. And this was obviously today at 3:14. He says he will not play basketball for UK this upcoming season. Mark it down. Now, I don't know if this is some reverse psychology thing. I don't know if this is – I don't know. I just this is the stuff that I'm seeing, and I'm like, well, why would you say that?
Well, let me kind of line it out for everybody then, just so they understand at least where I'm coming from, because I'm not saying he will or won't play. I like to understand the situation, right? I want to understand what what's the good, what's the bad, what's in the pro column, what's in the con column. So if you look at what's happened, I got right now there are about 16 different cases. Okay.
Okay.
Of those cases, 5 of them have temporary injunctions of some sort. Okay. 2 of those, the Colorado case and the Baaaaaaaccckkk case, both had injunctions that got overturned on appeal by the NCAA. Right. So now we've got 7 cases, 5 of which the players got an injunction, and there's not yet been an appeal by the NCAA. 2 of which they got an injunction, it was appealed by the NCAA, and the NCAA won. Okay. Now there are still another 8 or 9 more cases that have relief pending. No, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cases that have asked for an injunction but have not yet got a ruling. And then there's 2 other cases where there was an injunction asked for, but it was denied. The TRO was denied, but the preliminary injunction is still pending. Now, TRO is typically, for the next 14 days, the guy's eligible, right? And then after that, they rule on an actual injunction that could last all the way up until the trial. None of these cases have gone to trial. 0, not a single one of them have actually had a ruling. All these that we're dealing with are temporary relief injunctions of some sort, either TROs or a longer injunction. Now, in the state of Kentucky, it's unique. There's maybe 7 or 8 states like this, but the NCAA can't appeal the TRO. They can go to the judge and ask him to lift it. Obviously, he's not going to lift his own TRO. But once that TRO becomes an injunction, right, an active injunction, that can then be appealed to the Kentucky appellate courts. Okay. Now, I don't know if we've gotten to that point yet, because in the state of Kentucky, there is no time limit on a TRO. This judge could let that TRO continue all the way up until the time he goes to trial with this. That could be 3 months from now.
Right.
It could be a month from now. We don't know when these trials are going to happen. If these trials start popping off and the NCAA starts winning, well, we could be playing Mark Mitchell for the first 2 months and then have to stop playing him.
Well, yeah, which I
think that's going to happen? No.
No, I don't either.
I don't think there's a world where you can give every kid before 2020, 5 years before, an extra COVID year, and every player for the rest of history after 2020 an extra year, but screw the 2022 kids.
Right.
And that's what the NCAA did. I don't think that's going to hold up, but we have to be honest as fans, and me as someone who kind of leads some of this discussion for UK. I've got to be honest with people that follow me. They expect me to. There is potential risk there. Now, the other part of this is going to be academically. Like Mark Mitchell quit playing and thought, okay, I'm done. Do we know that he finished his classes? Do we know that he's on track for a degree? Did he get a degree? If so, we've got to fit him into a master's program. If he didn't get a degree, he's got to be 80% towards a degree. And then of that 80%, all those have to fit in towards a degree at Kentucky. So he's got to be 80% towards a degree at Kentucky. Some of those Duke credits, some of those Missouri credits may not fit into a Kentucky degree. We don't know. And people say, well, I'm sure they looked into that. Yeah, they may have looked into it, but until he applies and they look at his transcript and start looking at all the classes he's had, the admissions office and the athletics office are separated on purpose. They're not allowed to collude with each other, right? This is part of the Kentucky setup, right? Part of the compliance department is to not mess with admissions. It has to be separate. So until Kentucky looks at him and says, okay, this is how we can fit, he's not yet admitted. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't have any reason to think it's going to happen, but this is a concern. This is something that has to be done, has to be dealt with. I'm not saying Mark Mitchell isn't going to play for Kentucky. I think he probably will, but there is a percentage. Is it 5%? Is it 30%? I don't know, but there is some nebulous information out there. There is a chance that the NCAA wins. There's a chance this judge turns that TRO into an injunction, and now it is appealable, and the NCAA appeals it 2 weeks from now, and now he's no longer eligible. There is a chance that the Colorado case goes to trial, and everybody's eligible. There's 16 cases out there. Like, there's so much The
Yeah,
NCAA they've screwed the pig on this one, man.
and that's why it's so hard for me to follow and know what's going on with each different one. And like I said, some people were. It was just like in typical Louisville fashion on Friday. They fly Trimble in at 8:55 a.m. Trimble is announced, he signs, and at 9:55 he's ineligible again. Just. But I think they're all going to be able to play. There's no way. I don't think they're going to keep. It's either all or none. I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to keep them out.
and there's a couple comments. Don't we think that Kentucky coaches saw that? Of course they thought about it, but they're not the decision makers. They don't make the ruling, and until he applies and is enrolled, they don't control any of that. You can't tell me you think Mark Pope looked at his transcripts. Oh well, in Duke you had sociology 101. Let me see what degree that. No, of course they didn't do that, right? Now obviously they're going to have academics questions. But you don't send a recruit into admissions. Does not happen. You have to apply to be admitted, which you did on Friday, and it'll take a few days for them to come up with that and then get him added.
I would be very, very shocked if they don't find a way to get him admitted to the university.
Well, I agree. Look, I agree with all of that. I don't think he's not going to play, but we have to be honest with ourselves. Look, I think my wife loves me, but she can leave me tomorrow,
Right.
Right.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said all that because I was, for one, that I've read some of it, but it seems like I read one, then I read something else that contradicts the one I read, don't know what really is true, what's not, what's out there. And so I didn't really understood how it worked.
The answer is yes, Todd. Yeah, he'd definitely be my favorite player. Listen, I think Mark Mitchell is a great player. I really do. And I think that he's going to have a lot more energy to play defense. He's probably going to play 28 minutes a game instead of 34. That will matter. 3 minutes a half is going to allow – he's not going to have to carry the burden on offense. I think he'll be able to rebound better. There's going to be more space for him to rebound in this offense. There's going to be more space for him to rebound in defense. This is such a long team. I know. Look, the biggest like negative for most of the fans I hear is, can they rebound? Can they defend? Well, rebounding and defense, and Patrick, you're a coach. You can probably tell these guys this. Rebounds and defense is effort, man. That's will. That's how much do you want it, man? How much do you want it?
I had a coach tell me one time that he could get anybody off the street and teach them to rebound. Didn't take any skill.
That's right. That's right.
And that was one of the reasons, going back to what you just said earlier, that was one of the reasons why Kohler was 1A for me. I know he's been coached by Tom Izzo. I know what Tom Izzo's rebounding philosophy is, kind of, hit it and go get the damn ball, and I felt like that was an area that he would definitely help us with, because I think if you've played for Tom Izzo, you're probably a pretty physical player, or you wouldn't be out there.
Yeah.
And then again, I also think that, Mark Mitchell will also help our physicality. I think he's a pretty physical player from the stuff I've seen.
Agreed.
And, I just remember then, I know they beat us in the regular season and lost in the SEC tournament, but the SEC tournament, he put on just a masterpiece. He scored like 32 points, and it's just, but yeah. And, I just wish, I'd hate for him to practice, play several games, and then they decide to say, you know what, he can't play. I wish it would all be done tomorrow, which I know that's not how the process works. I know it's just going to be a waiting game, but he is eligible to practice and things, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Okay. Look, as of right now, if he gets enrolled, which I expect that he will, then he's good to go until something might happen. Like, these cases have to go to trial. None of these have gone to trial, right? So what we're dealing with here is temporary relief. It's not permanent relief. And if they lose the court cases and the judges start saying the NCAA has the right, even if it's unfair, to do this, well, go home. Go play overseas, guys.
Crash says, the Ohio stay on injunction worries me more than the Wisney case, but the fact that the decision was made a few days ago before Mitchell got his TRO gives me some encouragement that the judge knew about that. Yeah,
look, this judge obviously went to UK. But this ruling had a bunch of Louisville players in it too. He specifically said that the NCAA when they made their argument, did not meet the burden of fairness. Like he specifically said, you gave all 5 years before and every year after relief. Why did you not give it to the 2022? And the NCAA response was, it's just an administrative burden. Well, I'm sorry, but the fact that it is an administrative burden doesn't give you the right to disenfranchise all these kids from playing. And
Correct.
I get it. Some of you say, college is 4 years. Great. Whatever, man. We're in a new age. It is what it is.
4
it's
years.
going to be 5 years.
It took me longer than that to get a degree.
I know,
It took me
exactly.
5.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Most people do it for 5, right? But like this is going to meld into the entire, your grandkids are going to pay 5 for 5. So you're telling me that Mitchell shouldn't be able to, or Seth Trimble shouldn't be able to, or Kohler shouldn't be able to? That's all BS. I don't like the fact that we're going to have to wait on court cases into the season to have a final say on this stuff. It would make me very happy if the NCAA would just come out and say, you know what, screw it, go ahead, kids. 2022s can play.
Todd says, if Mark Mitchell's eventually ineligible, I'd understand. I've always believed you're done if you sign a pro deal, but if eligible, then it's even more official. This is a pro league now. I mean, some of this shit's been like free agency, and some of these guys are making more money in the NCAA than they were if they were in the NBA or a professional league.
We've been taking Euro kids that were playing professional contracts that got paid more than a Exhibit 10, which is what Mark Mitchell signed.
Right.
We've been taking those guys for 15 years now.
True. And I also saw, this is kind of off topic, but it's kind of on topic. Did you see where a Cleveland Browns tight end just enrolled at LSU? He got drafted by the Browns or played for the Browns or something, but today he enrolled at LSU to play football. Like I just don't know when it stops. But
wow.
But next year, the 5 for 5, it is this isn't gonna be a issue because they'll all be legal. But Peanut says either all or none will play, and I think
agree.
that's the way it has to be.
I agree. It has to be that way.
Y'all think Trimble gets his eligibility back? Yes,
I
think
do.
everybody will play. Anthony's one of our Louisville guys. He's a pretty cool guy, though. He comes in and chats with us.
Well, here's the problem. Here's what I don't like. The NCAA is like they are letting this stuff hang on and on and on and on. Like they're trying to lay these court cases. They're introducing motions to not like the judge will say, okay, let's have a court case on this date, and the NCAA says we need more time. They're trying to lengthen this out so that it damages all these kids. I don't like that. Like, I don't think that's what the NCAA is here for. I think they need new leadership. This entire fiasco has proven that we need something different. Like, whoever's making these decisions needs to get lost.
And that's, I agree 100%. And just the kind of, I was just, the one thing that Big Blue Nation loves to do when the roster is being constructed or formed is who's going to be starting? Who's going to be starting? Who's going to be starting? I've said since day one that I'm pretty confident that Wilkins, Zoom, now I'm going to throw Mitchell because there's no doubt. Mitchell, Milan, and Marino. That's the starting 5.
Yeah,
I was just scrolling through Twitter, and a Kentucky fan was arguing with somebody else that Braden Hawthorne was going to start at the 2.
Was it Rando?
No, because I know Rando.
He loves Hawthorne.
But here's the thing. But he had Wilkins coming off the bench, and it's just not happening. I mean, he might be our best player at the time season's end, or maybe our best scorer.
You got to have a guy to lead that second squad, and that's going to be Hawthorne, I think, or Cam Williams.
I just haven't really heard a lot about Hawthorne that makes me be real upbeat and positive about. I feel like I've heard that he struggled, but with that being said, I mean, I've not heard anything since kind of back before they ended camp, but it just seems to me like, I don't know. I was high on him because I thought he practiced all last year. He had to improve. His game had to get better. Then it got to the B where we missed out on a few guys early, so I started relying on him. Then I didn't hear much positive about him. So I just don't know where my heart lies with Hawthorne right now.
Yeah, I don't put much into the practice stuff, man. I really don't. There's until the lights come on, you don't know what anybody is. I mean, it's easy to play great when maybe everyone else is playing 85%. Like you're the guy giving 100, you're going to look amazing. Maybe Hawthorne is is going at 85%, and everybody else is doing it. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't put too much in. I've been to too many like summer practices in my career and then like you think you know one thing, and then you go see the season is like, J.P. Blevins was the best shooter. John Hood was the best shooter. Josh Carrier was
Trent
the best
Noah.
shooter. Trent Noah was the best shooter. Okay, great. Good job. Let me see him in the game. I think
right.
Hawthorne
That's
will
kind
be
of
fine.
what I hope so. He's
not going to start over Wilkins.
No. I don't think he's starting over any of those 5 we just mentioned. I can see a world where all 5 of those make an all SEC team. First, second, or third team. I really could. But it just, that's what kind of gets me about, the depth thing. I think too much can be a problem when I'm saying a problem, not as far as a coaching standpoint, but as far as a chemistry standpoint. And how does Mark Mitchell coming in now affect the chemistry? These guys have worked their ass off for months now. How does him coming in and taking minutes?
I'm not worried about that as much. The guy's an all SEC player. If you want to win a championship, everybody here should embrace that. If you're not for the team now that Mitchell's here, you weren't for the team last week either.
Right.
like pick one. Like you got to understand that a coach's job is to always get better whenever they can. Period.
I just thought of this a while ago when you were talking about it, but as a coach, there's some players that I've coached in the years that have mastered the art of going 100 when somebody else is only going about 75. They know how to make themselves look good in practice.
That's right. That's right.
It's crazy.
That's right. And look, you show up with different energy every day to practice. You know that, Patrick. You've had your best players show up flat because something happened at home or they didn't sleep well or whatever it might be. Same thing happens on game day, but game day is a little bit different, man. That energy level's up there. You're in every coach has a pregame process that they want to kind of put kids through to get them ready for that game. There's just a lot more intentionality about game day than there is about practice. There's just 2 different things, man. Like, I don't even see them the same.
Right. Well, that makes sense. And at the collegiate level too,
it's even more.
Their schedule's pretty well set for them,
That's
as
right.
far as what time they're getting up, what time they're eating breakfast, where they're,
That's right.
And honestly, they don't have all the home and environment problems
while
they're on campus that the high school
everything is controlled.
All right, Crash is dying to know your thoughts on Meghan and Harry. What are your thoughts about them moving back to England?
I hope they get divorced. Harry got brainwashed by that crazy woman.
Listen, he asked me this the other day on a message, and I replied back I didn't even know they were going back. That tells you how irrelevant Meghan and Harry are to me. I didn't even know they were going back. But just somewhat I'm thinking about it, just as football related. But Alex Ofari, I saw where he was ruled ineligible, but he did add his name to the Louisville case. So I guess that's something he's going to try to.
Let's make sure we use the right terminology, because this is how it gets confusing. No one has been ruled ineligible. No one has been ruled eligible. There has been no rulings. It's just a temporary order that has either been kept, in force, or stayed, which means eliminated. So you either have a temporary ability to play, or that temporary ability has been rescinded by an appeal. But none of these have gone to trial yet. Nothing has been ruled on. Nobody's been ruled one way or the other. That's the crappy part about it, Patrick. And it could take months. This could literally go into next year. We could wake up in the middle of SEC play and Mark Mitchell is no longer eligible.
And that's not going to bother me as long as everybody is,
It would be. It probably would be everybody.
And, and I've always said, though, I've kind of always been the one, too, though, like that kid from Alabama last year, comes back midseason, joins Alabama after playing so many games in the NBA. He's eligible, he plays, whatever. I've always said that I don't care what the rules are as long as they're fair for everybody. Just because I don't think a pro should be able to play collegiate sports, but if they're allowed to do it, I would definitely take advantage of that rule, matter what my personal opinion or thought was.
Agreed. That's like Hurley saying, "Oh, these 5 for 5s," and complaining. dude, you got a top 3 team in the country. Of course, you don't want nobody else taking these kids. If you were 50th in the country preseason, you would be taking Mark Mitchell. You would be going after Kohler. You would be going after Seth Trimble.
Sure.
Don't try to give me that. Like
right.
Hurley's hilarious.
It's just funny because the two fan bases that are chirping the most now are Louisville and Arkansas. There was a guy on Louisville's fan base wanted to argue that Louisville's roster was still better than Kentucky's with Mitchell, and I'm not so sure Louisville has a guy in their starting 5 that would start over any of our guys. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Wooley's pretty good.
Yeah, but was he as good as Wilkins?
I mean, he's
comparable.
He's done it at a bigger level than Wilkins. If you look at the two of them talent-wise, I think they're pretty close. Like if you sit down and scout the two players, how do they handle the ball? What can they do? What's their first move? What do they do when you take away the first and second move? I think they're comparable. But the Woolley advantage is he's already done it a year in a big league, whereas Wilkins has to show that he can do that. I don't doubt that he will, but you got to give the edge to Woolley for that reason, I would think.
Right, and that makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
Louisville plays in the ACC, and I'm not even for sure where Furman plays, but I'm sure it's a different level of basketball.
They say Cantor got kicked out of the arena,
and he should have. I mean, from what I was watching, I was talking to you, and I just looked up to see the score, and I see Cantor kind of holding his arms up like this, and I see Natasha Cloud beelining, then trying to hold her back, and then Dejanay Carrington got involved, and just,
I forget you coach women's ball.
I do, and and by no means am I for men playing in the WNBA, and it's just I couldn't believe what I was watching actually. But I was watching the pregame show, and they showed Cantor out on the concourse outside around the arena, and there were people out there giving him hell. There was just civilians hollering and cussing at him or whatever, and then he gets into the arena, then makes a big stink. So what are we coming to? I mean, what are we coming to?
He's going to make the WNBA take a stand on what a woman is. I think that's probably where it'll end up.
And, like he said, by definition, I mean, and I don't talk politics on here because I'm outnumbered severely. Power 5 football and basketball are not collegiate sports. These leagues are now competing in the minor league, foreign league space. If an athlete can sign a pro contract and then say, never mind, I'll sign a deal with the university.
Well, let's be clear. There's certain pro contacts that do make you ineligible and certain ones that don't.
So we learned last week or the week before, because Todd was the one that asked about, I think, the Exhibit 10. So they can be offered, because I think Kohler's dad said he was offered, but he didn't sign one.
Right, on purpose. Exhibit 10 is not an NBA pro contract as per the agreement, the player association agreement, right? So it's kind of like it used to be the rule: if you stay in the draft, you couldn't play. Well, then we started letting Euros kids play. Well, you can't tell me that a kid can play EuroLeague pro, sign a deal, make money, come over to college and play, but an American kid can't. That makes no sense, right? So the line of what is allowed is moving, right? And a lot of this does have to do with Euroball, because Euro kids, they start playing professionally at 14, 15 years old in these development leagues like Costa Rica did, right, where they're getting money, right? So you have to look at it and say, okay, what is the comparable NBA cutoff point for the same thing as the Euro leagues? And that's a moving target, right? It could be, yep, I'm in the NBA Summer League. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's, hey, I've been called up to an NBA team and I played with the NBA team. I don't know. Like Mark Mitchell played Summer League ball with what was it, the Nuggets or somebody? I can't remember
Nuggets.
what team, but yeah.
No, Kohler played with one played with Utah, I think, and one played with Denver, maybe.
Yeah,
but
maybe it was Utah.
Well,
but I mean, look, that's like a tryout league, is what that is. Summer ball, right?
Because I was in Vegas when the summer league was going on, and that Xavier Lee, I watched him play, and he comes back and he's trying to get another year of eligibility, and I actually watched him play for Cleveland.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, I think you have to. It'll all get a lot clearer. But the thing, like with the Luis kid, RJ,
Yeah.
he gave up eligibility. Like he left.
He was
early.
the LSU kid, right?
Yeah, yeah, the LSU kid.
Yeah, I think.
He gave up eligibility. It's not like he was thought that he didn't have eligibility, so then he went and pro. No, he actually left to go pro and then said, "Screw it, I'm coming back." That's the problem he's going to have, right? Now, Mitchell, the SEC rule, the intertransfer rule, I don't think that applies, but they may try it. If Sankey tries that, he's a real dickhead, man. I'll be honest with you. Like, you can't punish a kid for not going into the portal when he thought his eligibility was out because you told him it was.
Right.
Like, if you tell me that I can't date Halle Berry, well, then don't complain if I don't call Halle Berry out and ask her on a date. You know? Like I didn't think that was possible. Now that he is eligible, you can't go back retroactively and punish him for that. So I don't think that'll stand either. I think all of these cases, like the players should win every one of them. If you're going to let every player from 2023 on have an extra year, you got to let the 22 kids have it too.
Right. Because the 5 years before 22, they got it as well. So like you said, it'd be the only class that got nothing, you know?
Right.
Will you please answer Crash? He's concerned if you think about what you think about Harry and William being able to reconcile with each other.
I think Harry screwed over his family too much. I think that's going to be difficult. I think it'll be. I think they'll be friendly, but that's about it.
Crash, you're too concerned about the inner workings of the parliamentary government of
the Royals.
The Royals, yeah. Trying to see if chat, if anybody's asked any questions. Sometimes this chat goes so fast. Todd says exactly, Exhibit 10 is a developmental pro contract, and that's the space Power 5 schools have entered.
That's right.
I don't know, man. Elijah's into the high school recruiting scene. Are you familiar with Elijah Burns? Have you seen him any on Twitter?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he says.
I think Louis Uvo is incredible. Probably the best defender in high school basketball.
He says maybe the best defender Kentucky has ever had, and that includes Davis and Noel. But I want to see him in Kentucky blue before I. But also.
Yeah, I mean, he can change a game on one end of the court. That's unusual.
Elijah says when he blocks a shot, he laughs at him, says, ha ha. I think it's great. But
give him the Dikembe.
Yeah. I saw where Kentucky's 2028's coming to Big Blue Madness. Elijah, you just mentioned get ready for the visitors of Big Blue Madness. Put in the chat whose those are. I've got a huge space over there that I tried to throw something and knocked over the only Gatorade within a 25-mile radius and spilt it. I'm trying to. All right, this season is 6 months. These players will be gone before a decision is made.
We'll hope
I guess
so.
possibly. I hope so. That means we get Mitchell all year.
Well, the problem is that NCAA has appealed 2 cases of these TROs and won both of them.
That's what scares me.
Right. Now, the Kentucky case that Mitchell's under, as long as that TRO doesn't get moved into an injunction and it just stays a TRO, it's not appealable. If he does move it in, and I'm not smart enough to know for exactly if he did come out with a TRO. I think it was a TRO. But if it was a TRO and he just lets that hang, that's a judge being smart because he knows that no one can overturn it because of the Kentucky law.
All right, Elijah says Big Blue Madness, Reese Alston, Louis Uvo, C.J. Rosser.
Give me those 3 and we're done.
What is it?
Give me those 3 and I'll be done with high school recruiting.
Yeah, because, I mean, and that's another thing that I think a lot of people are going to take some time to get used to is the fact that, you know, if you're not an elite level high school player, there's not very many opportunities to get.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I have the opportunity of recruiting a kid that's a freshman out of high school or a kid that's played 4 years of NCAA basketball that's already proven, then it's a no-brainer to me. that's why I said they kept putting me on the spot back when Momcilovic was going through the process, and they kept asking me if I'd rather have Stokes or Momcilovic, and ultimately I said Momcilovic because I've seen what he can do.
Yeah,
Although I think Stokes is really, really good, I think
he's
he's
still
still
going to
going
be a
to have an
freshman.
adjustment period. He's going to have,
Yeah,
I mean, wait till the first
I
time in
mean
that.
he's not as good as that Duke kid, and we beat them
Right.
because he was a freshman, made a freshman mistake, spun into a double team.
Yep. Spun into a double team, and
I mean,
Oway stole it. Yeah.
that's right.
Flag. Yeah. Cooper Flag's a lot better than him.
Yeah, Cooper
Um,
Flag's better, and they didn't win the way they could have. And they
well,
had
and
two
you,
kids that were 1 and 2. Like
Con
both those
Knipple.
kids, yeah, those kids were elite, man, and they were 2 freshmen. That
Well,
if
think about it.
if those 2 kids were juniors on that Duke team, they would have won it all.
No doubt about it. But if you think about it too, I think that one of the more dominant college players that I'd seen was Zion Williamson, and they didn't win
Yeah,
much. I mean, so I mean, very
Clyde,
few
Clyde
teams.
says Clyde said only elite high school recruits will be playing college basketball. Yeah, what do you call elite? Like for me, elite's the top 15, and there'll be more than that.
Yeah,
Like,
the top 100 maybe, top
yeah,
50, top 75, but
yeah,
it's going to be hard. They're still like Cal's still going to take freshmen. I don't know how much longer Cal, Izzo, those guys will stay around just because Cal. I don't know. Cal likes this stuff. I think Cal kind of likes this stuff. Izzo's done. I think Self's done. Maybe even Rick Barnes. I just don't think they don't look at what's going on as amateur athletics.
agreed.
But
Well, it helps. It helps that Kyle's got some chicken money behind him. He doesn't have to complain as much.
right, and
But
you know,
here's the way. Here's the way I see it happening. It used to be that Kentucky would take 4 to 5 freshmen. Now they'll take 3.
right,
Kansas, instead of taking 5, will take 3. And those 2 that Kentucky didn't take are now playing one notch below. And so all the kids that like now the Mississippi States of the world are getting kids that could have been at Kentucky in times gone by. Now there's 2 spots for kids that normally would have gone to Mississippi State. Now they got to go to Western Kentucky.
right.
Right. So it's everybody's just taking a notch down because there's another class that's staying in, and more people are staying in college basketball because the NIL money is better than a freshman a rookie contract in the NBA.
Unless you're getting drafted, what top 3, top? I mean, it's probably better
No,
than some
no.
lottery money.
If you're a first rounder, you should go simply because you're closer to that second contract and you're guaranteed. Right.
Right.
So
right.
first rounders should still go, but if you're in that second round and you don't have a guaranteed contract, you're making more money in the NCAA. If you're a high second rounder, somebody in the NCAA will pay you $4 or $5 million a year.
And that's what I always said too about Marino.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a second rounder, I mean, you can make triple
Come
that
back.
money at Kentucky. Yeah, absolutely. And I think ultimately, it's going to make the NCAA product better. Better players will be staying longer, coming back, things like that. But I also feel bad as a high school coach that not a lot of the high school kids are getting the opportunities. But we had a kid at our school, and I coach at a 2A school, 3A school, maybe even football. I'm not sure, 2A, 3A. And he was a football player. He went to KCU out of high school on a visit. Okay, their coach told him that he could walk on, but he was going to wait for the portal. Even somewhere like KCU are feeling some of the effects of the portal, and that just kind of shocked me that that was the answer. I could understand it somewhere a little bit bigger, but wow,
It's crazy what's happening right now, man. I think until we get the government to step in and put some rules in place, it's just going to be craziness.
And I think somebody up here mentioned that, and I was trying to read it, then it got out, something jumped on. Who was it? It was a real big message up here. Let me find it. Basically, he was saying he thought the NCAA was doing this on purpose to get the government basically to step in and help.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I think they could have done a better job of getting like the SEC and the Big Ten on board earlier in the season. once they delayed it the way they did, it really threw things off for the congressional schedule, right?
Right.
So like they had they moved quickly without the SEC and Big Ten kind of pausing things, I think it probably would have happened already.
Mm. All right, Mark, do you think Harry and Meghan's kids will adjust to their new surroundings in England?
Yes, I do.
I have no reason not to think otherwise.
They're so young, they're not going to remember much else.
But if things come to fruition, like Mark says, and Meghan and Harry end up in divorce, just somebody let Meghan know that I'm available.
And he's liberal. That's important.
Well, that probably helps my case. But
that's right. Yeah.
I'd probably switch my affiliation for her.
You won't.
Well, I don't know. She's crazy. I don't know if I would or not. Clyde, you just said something kind of crazy. I understand that Cal's your favorite coach of college basketball, but you can't call yourself a Kentucky fan and say that you don't care if Cal wins a championship before us. Come on now.
Listen, Kyle was my client at UMass and Memphis. I've worked with Kyle for 25 years, and I don't want him to win a championship at Arkansas.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I don't care if he has – I hope Cal, when he retires, comes back to Kentucky, they hang his banner from the rafters because I think he's deserved it. But while he's at Arkansas, I want to kick his ass. I just 100%. Want to beat him. But, And
I do love the guy. I'm a big fan of Cal. But at the same time, I think it was time to make a change.
Yeah, and I'm a Cal fan too. I'll watch Arkansas games when Kentucky's not on, but I'm not going to sit there and say I hope he wins a championship before Kentucky. But I do think, winning a championship at Kentucky in 2012 that, once he retires, I'm hoping he can come back and, get a standing ovation. And I'm hoping. It just, this day and age, it just seems like, I know Big Blue Nation, when Pope got hired and Pitino sent out that video from behind the desk, it seemed like Pitino became one of us again, and the fans, like Pitino after he double flipped us inside of Rupp and everything. So, I hope, but you're right. Cal, it was time for Cal to go. He probably lasted 5 years longer. And he even said himself as a 10-year job,
Yeah.
But see what here. I don't think it changes anything for five-star recruits in Power 5. It changes everything for the Noahs, Perrys, Hawthorns, mid-major schools to get guys who were once considered rotation players in a Power 5 with the 5-year rule, pro development eligibility.
Yeah.
And
that's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, about the Western, Mississippi State to Western.
Yeah.
What's crazy, though, is
although I don't think Hawthorne fits into the Noahs and the Perrys.
Well, he's talking about Zion Hawthorne.
He must be.
But honestly, we've talked about this on the show before, and I think about it quite a bit. Like, the way things transpired last year, Perry would have got a lot of minutes for us at the point. The way things transpired, the way they
unfortunately,
were.
Yeah.
And I probably would have.
Don't get it twisted. Those mid-majors are still going to get a chance to play at Kansas and Kentucky and Duke. It's just for their junior year.
Right.
We're going to let them. It's going to become the mid-majors, or we're going to become a farm system for the high majors.
And that's where you feel,
Furman's not happy Alex Wilkins is playing at Kentucky.
That's what I'm saying. That's where you kind of feel bad for the mid-majors, kind of
Agreed.
They take a freshman, they develop him for a couple years, and the first chance they get, kind of like Jerome Morton starting out at Morehead State, I was a big Jerome fan.
That's right. I think he's going to surprise some people, man. I think that kid's better than people think, man.
I coached against him in high school, and he had a really good team at George Rogers Clark, don't get me wrong, but you could tell, I think we played him as a junior. Best athlete on the floor by far, but he didn't force anything. He just played the game so smart. We'd run 2 or 3 at him, and he would just pass it. He was okay. Of course, he had the players that he could pass it to and make it, which makes it easier because that's what he's getting at Kentucky, too. He's going to be able to do that. But
that's what you want from a bench player.
And he's not going to turn the ball over an abnormal amount of times. He's going to handle the ball. He's going to knock down open shots.
He's going to defend.
And listen, I was shocked that he ended up, however they did that this summer. I don't know how they calculated wins. I was kind of shocked he was first, but then I started thinking about it. I mean, his motor goes nonstop. Like that was the
Yeah.
perfect pickup as far as somebody that can play in that 7th, 8th, 9th spot, then come in there with that second unit, and you're not going to lose much with.
But look, that's what every coach wants when they have to put. You want starters that can play 25 to 28 minutes a game, and then the guys coming off the bench. You want them to hold court. You don't want them to
Yes.
make bad plays. Just don't do anything negative and run the stuff you got. And in Pope's system, those guys can really shine. Like a guy like that can run a system in Pope's system because it's very complicated. Those are the guys that have success. If you look at all the guys that he had at BYU that had great success, it wasn't the Alex Wilkins and the Mark Mitchells of the world. It was
Right.
the Colin Chandlers. It was the guys who were good, pretty good. But man, when you put them in a system that can help them create, help them maybe a guy that can't create on his own, but he's coming off 4 screens. You don't have to create on his own. You know what I mean? Like
I was just so, coming out of high school, I don't think that, Morton obviously couldn't play at Kentucky because they didn't take him as a freshman out of high school. But when I started looking at his numbers, and he shoots 44% off the move. That's elite. Yeah,
listen. This is why I've said that Morton is going to be really good for Kentucky this year because we're going to be running a lot of stuff with a point guard and a high ball screen because Zoom is elite in that. And if you've got either Mitchell or Moreno setting that ball screen and rolling, those are just going to be power dunks, man. And you got when they start going underneath that screen, you put Zoom on the bench and Brandon Morton, and he takes one dribble left, one dribble right. Dude, that's exactly what you want. A guy that can shoot off the dribble, he's going to be lethal when they start going under those screens. And they will.
Well, the one thing I watched when I was watching film on Zoom Diallo, because I didn't know a lot about him. I knew he played at Washington, but, they play a lot of that midnight time slot, and I'm already asleep by that time. But when I started watching him, his reads on the pick and roll are pretty spot on.
Elite.
Elite. Yeah, he's able to run that pick and roll, and he makes the read. And you put a short shooter in that strong side corner and run that pick and roll at the top. I mean, he's getting to the rim. I mean, you're not going to help.
And he's big enough. He's big and strong enough to take contact and still make plays, man.
Holly wants to know if this group has a better IQ for the read and react offense than last year. It seems like it.
Hard to say.
I've not seen them in that act, a lot. I'm hoping. And I don't know if last year just didn't have the right reads. I felt like Aberdeen thought he was an alpha. Owe was an alpha. And sometimes those alphas don't work well together. Neither one of them want to pass it a whole lot.
Yeah, Aberdeen took 3 more dribbles every possession than he should have. Like the ball didn't move.
And I've always said that, I felt like he was put in a bad situation last year. They ended up putting him at the point, and that's not his natural position. And I appreciate that he tried to do what he did. But
after 10 games, 7 or 8 games into the season, we stopped running that stuff and put in some different offense that was better suited for the players we had. I think Holly's probably right that I suspect. Well, let me put it this way. If this team doesn't have a better IQ for the read and react offense, then we're going to be disappointed again. I don't think that's going to be the case. I do suspect that, but it's hard to know it until we see it.
Well, and I think Pope specifically recruited these guys specifically for the offense. Because if you remember that first year, the way Amari Williams or Andrew Carr or some of those guys ran that offense, and they run it through that 5 spot, and we get the backdoor layups, or we get the curl cuts, or we got so many easy baskets out of that offense that we didn't have to work as hard. Last year, I don't know, like you said, I didn't even know if it took 10 games, but it seemed like we ran it early on and then absolutely nothing. Like, I never saw the backdoor cuts. I didn't see the handoff on the wing. It's just, I don't know. And I think this year he specifically constructed his roster for that.
Agreed. Yeah, last year he went for more physical, more defensive, like more athletic, and I think that was a bad decision. Not because mostly because it ended up not being a good chemistry. And when you take guys that are like physical and athletic and not like skill guys, they typically don't play in his style as well. I like the fact they went back to what he knows. I'd rather be a little bit less physical and a little bit more skilled with
Right.
what he coaches, to be honest with you.
Crash is all on. He wants to know if you've ever listened to Megan's podcast.
All I do all day is listen to Megan and Oprah. That's like half of my day.
I didn't even know Megan had a podcast. Maybe that's something.
And Michelle Obama's podcast too. Yeah.
I'm a fan of Obama, but I'm not checking out his podcast. How about that? If it ain't sports podcast, I'm not listening to it. Zoom offense left the building. Yeah, last year it did, but
it did.
And the one thing I will tell you from being a coach that a lot of people don't understand is if you don't have the right personnel for an offense, you can't run it. And, just like when Cal came out with that dribble drive, every high school team in the country tried to run dribble drive. But you know how many teams had a guy in the dunker spot that could get open, get a dunk, get an alley-oop, or how many teams didn't even have a guy that could beat their man off the dribble? Just because a college team runs that program or runs that offensive set doesn't mean that a high school team can.
Yeah.
You've got to gear your offensive sets to the ability that you have or to the players you have and their ability. You can't just say, well, I'm going to run this or that or this or that. It's not that easy. Or sounds like Mark and I are the same person. Dark Pope, don't you come in here. Dark Pope complimented you a while ago. I just saw it, Mark. You know who Dark Pope is?
I don't.
I saw a guy. Are you Dark Pope BBN on Twitter too? Because I think I saw you going at somebody today, maybe. I don't know what sure Bruce is replying to. I think he's in a conversation with somebody about Cal winning the SEC tournament. Did Arkansas win the tournament? Or they win the regular season? Did Arkansas win the SEC tournament?
I think they won the tournament.
Huh. Okay, Dark Pope says that ain't me. I will tell you that Dark Pope's been getting a lot of mention on Twitter, though. Ever since Mark Pope started recruiting well and having that beard, they're thinking the beard's the magic powers, kind of like, Samson's hair.
Well, listen, I've been really critical of all the people whining about a GM because I think everybody pretty much totally misunderstands what a GM does in the NCAA. But Adam Keegan has been a big help. Like he is, he's doing the job, man, doing the job.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I was glad somebody commented about that earlier. And once again, I was going to ask you about it, but then it just totally slipped my mind. But it seems like Keegan Brown is, been well worth the money, and 100%. I don't know exactly what he's doing other than maybe talking Mark Pope out of rash decisions that are costing a lot of money that aren't worth the value of the player. I don't really know what exactly he is doing.
Yeah, it's basically like identifying people that he should go after, eliminating the ones he shouldn't. Like it's the GM in the NCAA is not the head of anything. He makes no decisions. Like you got Woj at St. Bonnie, you got the guy at UNC for Kevin, and those guys. He was a former NBA agent. Those are the only two that I know of. Having talked to a lot of assistant coaches at a lot of different programs this year, they say, okay, those guys can make some decisions. Everything else, every other GM I've talked to, every program I've talked to that has a GM staff of some sort has told me they advise the assistants. They are a step below. They're kind of like video coordinator. Video coordinator is like advising the assistants on scouting the game, and GM is advising the assistants on who to go after, what they're worth, who their agents are, just prepping the package for the coaches to then go in and recruit the kid.
Like I said, I wasn't 100% sure. I know I follow him on Twitter. I've read what he says he does, and I'm still not I don't think I fully understand, but whatever it is he's done it well.
Yeah, and adding Mo has been big, I think.
Yeah, and Mo Williams, I think, if nothing else, he's got name recognition. These guys
he's got swagger.
He's young. He's he's swaggy is the perfect way to put it. And, they know he played in the NBA. They know he won a national championship. I mean, who doesn't want to be coached if you're an elite level guard? Who's not going to want to be coached by Mo Williams? So, I mean, I think it was a great hire. And listen, I was critical of Pope last year, as I don't think any coach is, even myself. I make mistakes as a coach, as does every coach, and I don't think that I'm ever above any criticism, because I think that I'm put in that position, and if I don't do something right, then I deserve the criticism, as long as it's constructively. And so I was pretty hard on Pope at times as well, but I think he's done everything this offseason that I could have asked him to do. Now,
Yeah.
I'm sure we're getting ready to see the product, and things may change then. I'm hoping somebody can help him with substitutions. That was one area last year that I really fought hard with. I thought his substitutions were off, but I don't know. I'm not in their practices. I'm not in their coaches meetings. I don't, but I was kind of bummed by. I just felt like everything was so analytical with him, which I know Mark Pope's an analytics guy, but it seems like he had the substitutions. And I've seen high school coaches do this, and I don't agree with it there either. But they'll have a substitution, like a depth chart, and they'll pretty well have the times they come out predetermined. Come out at the 2-minute mark, give them a break, blah blah blah. But sometimes you got to let these kids play by feel. If they're in the flow of the game but Cal was bad about that at times too. Make 2 or 3 shots, next thing you know, they're out for 2 or 3 minutes. But I don't coach Division I basketball, so it's a whole different breed to me. I mean.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think there's a coach out there that their fans don't complain about substitution patterns. That's probably, between that and the refs, those are probably the 2 biggest complaints I ever hear. Todd made a remark there that is probably right on point. He said he thinks the roster is undervalued because that element's not considered in preseason rankings. I agree. I think last season we were overranked because of the year before, seeing what Pope did with what everyone thought was lesser talent, and coming up and being ending up top 12, 12th in the country with a team that he put together in a month and a half, Then after last year, I think this season, preseason, people are looking at, okay, well, last year we thought we were top 7 or 8, 9, 10, especially after beating Purdue, and we ended up, what did we finish, 28th or something? I don't remember.
And that was probably a gift. I know we won some big games down the stretch, beat Tennessee twice, Arkansas, things like that. But
they did improve as the year went on, and I give Pope credit for that. I mean, he figured it out. He figured out a way to do a little bit better. I don't think it was the effort just was never consistent. And you guys can argue with me if you want. You can't coach effort. Effort is a player thing.
No, and I
Period.
think. And I always say in the locker room, there's 3 things that you control, and that's your energy, your effort, your enthusiasm. I can't control any of those.
That's right.
And if you're and even at the lowest of levels, I tell them, if you have to be motivated to play by what I tell you before the game, then there's already a problem. If you can't motivate yourself to go out there and give everything you got for the name that's on the front of your jersey, then that's a problem. But high school kids got so much going on in their lives they can't focus just on sports. Not at my level anyhow. But
I also want to let Crash know that I do think Meghan Markle will probably end up going back to acting at some point.
Crash, did you hear that? That's a question you didn't ask.
That's right. I'm coming up with my
Mark's dropping bombs here. He says he's not waiting for you to ask the questions. He's bringing you the knowledge.
I'm coming with my Meghan Markle stuff.
Meghan Markle's going back into acting.
Right.
We got a whole chat going on about spam and fried bologna.
Well, this is a
you can't get that everywhere,
podcast.
Guys.
It's
you can't get that everywhere. And I'm not gonna lie, I love a good fried bologna.
I do too. I can't get it where I live right now.
That's probably not. How long are you expecting to be there? Venezuela, right?
Yeah,
Argentina.
Colombia. Yeah, I'm in Medellin. I'm in Medellin, Colombia. So I'll be down here probably for another, maybe a year, maybe not quite a year. I'm trying to get my visa. My wife is Colombian. My kids are Colombian. So I'm down here getting my visa. And with the earthquake, the government has just slowed down with everything so much that they say it might take me a little bit longer.
I do want you to know that I've kept your family a secret. I've not shared that picture with anybody that you shared with me. I'm not letting anybody else enjoy that. And sir, this is no knock, but you have outkicked your coverage.
There's no doubt about that, man. I'm a closer, no doubt about it.
But yeah, it's trying to think. There was something else I was going to ask about. Oh, I've had several people, and I think this is kind of ludicrous, but several people have been upset about the Texas Tech scrimmage. I think that's the perfect scrimmage for us.
Why were they upset?
Um, Afraid of injuries. We don't need any injuries. Felt like we may lose that scrimmage, and that's what a scrimmage is for. You either win or you learn. I mean, there is no losing. There really isn't any winning. I wish they wouldn't even keep score, but it just I feel like if Mark Pope is concerned that physicality is an issue with us, who better than to play than Texas Tech?
I mean, nobody was concerned about playing Purdue preseason last year.
No,
Like,
they
come
loved
on.
it. That's the best
Right.
game we
Like,
played all year.
I agree. Yeah, we look better there than we
Jasper
did.
Johnson looked like a 5-star
That's
first-round
right.
draft pick.
That's right. That doesn't make sense. No, look, if you tell me that we're going to open the season with a Texas Tech game, look, there's pluses and minuses. I mean, you got to think about it this way: as new as we are, they're new too, right? Like if we can pick them off early because we're a little bit more advanced, then great. I tend
I've
to
always
like.
said that, like, early in the year, neither team's going to be at their best.
Right.
They're still. However, in a situation like that, I usually think the more talented team will win.
Here's what I think: a situation like that, the more guys who can get their own is going to win.
Right.
And we got 3 guys who can get their own, and really 4. Now, let me make the case that Milan can get his own. Okay, obviously Zoom, Alex, and Mark Mitchell, they can create for themselves off the dribble. They can get to the rim at will. Milan can also create for himself, but he does it in a different way, right? Like he can back the guy down in the paint and do that Dirk Nowitzki follow it. He can take a pass, one dribble left, right, and shoot. Like all of that is creating a shot. Now, most people don't think of that as shot creation, but it is, right? It's not 3 dribbles to the rim and layup. We think that's shot creation, but Milan is pretty damn good at creating his own shot. So if you say we got 4 starters who can create their own, and then I'm thinking Braden Hawthorne's probably a decent creator. Cam not so much, but Braden's probably pretty good at it. I don't know. I haven't seen either 2 freshmen. And Jai can do some stuff for his size, and I think Justin's decent at it.
Well, I just feel like guys that got like a Hawthorne or an Njai that are both like 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot.
They're going to match up over guys.
If you can get to your spot and elevate, you're not getting blocked. Right. That's why Durant's made such a living.
That's right.
And I hope I hope their mid-range game is as good as a Kevin Durant, but I'm not going to put that pressure on them right now. But it just seems like Kentucky's. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a team with this kind of size from top to bottom. I mean, point guards are 6'5", I think, or 6'4", and Wilkins maybe 6'5", 6'6", but it's just crazy.
There's length all over this team, man, and that's why. You guys remember the WVU team where we shot 33s because they were switching everything?
Was it 2010 against
Yeah,
Missoula?
with John Wall. Yeah. And we lost that game because they switched everything. Like they were 6'7" across the front line, across the backcourt, and 6'10", 6'11" in the backcourt. And they switched everything. They were so long you couldn't get in any gaps. Like that's what this team is going to be. Like some of the defensive negatives from an individual point of view can be made up by having that many long guys. Some of the rebounding can be made up just because we've got length on the court that other people aren't going to have. Three or 4 inches on a rebound makes a big difference.
Well, the length also helps a lot on your ability to recover. If you get switched up on a guy 6'5" and he takes you to the rim and you got 6'11", I mean, your arm can make up for a lot of that.
That's right. One step and you can jump with him off the side and block the shot.
I hope our team buys in defensively, and I think they will because I think we got some dogs. I mean, because I think Oweh and Aberdeen were good defenders last year I just think they checked out. I think there were some chemistry issues. I don't think we got the whole story about what happened at Louisville, in the locker room or whatever. I still think there was more to it than what was said. I always heard that came out and said that the Louisville fans, they got into their heads or whatever. I always heard there was something between a coach and a player regarding religious values, and I thought Diabate was a part of that somehow or another. I don't know if it was during Ramadan or what, but um, I just felt like you know, and one of the stats that we led the country in last year was most come from behind wins. Well, that's kind of misleading. You were down 18 points to LSU. You should have been down 18 to LSU. Um, so I do like the fact that last year I don't. That's why I said earlier that I didn't think it was all bad because I think we did show some fight in some
Yeah.
games. But then
When the
again,
effort was there, we were a pretty damn good team.
and then you talk about the game in Nashville against Gonzaga, and there's nothing I can say or do that can explain that. I mean,
I don't
there's
remember that
nothing.
game. I had the Men in Black come in and remove my memory.
And it was funny because we were talking about it that probably 3 weeks ago on the show about which one game that sticks out, and I said the Gonzaga game or whatever, and the chat agreed, and then Pope, the one game he talked about that he wished he could go back and forget. And I mean, that was in Nashville, a place that Kentucky usually dominates the crowd, usually plays well in Nashville, and then they're getting booed off the floor.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just
rightfully so.
right. Well, man,
that's it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
I'll reach out again. I love having you on here, man. The chat loves you. I love having you on. You always bring something to the show. So appreciate you. Best of luck. And I'm sure we'll talk again once the season starts.
Thanks, man. Looking forward to it. See you.
Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you. All right, let me go back here in the chat and see who all I missed out on. Guys, Mark Maggard's great. Every time I reach out to him, he always replies. Whoever got him in my chat the first time that allowed me to make that connection to reach out, I appreciate it. I can't wait to hear some of his takes once the games start. But I don't really know what a lot of these comments are. They were going too fast. But Dark Pope wants to know who's making Milan's fried bologna sandwiches. That's the inside source you need to know. The cook always knows. Ask any of these Johnny-come-lately insiders. I see where you're going with that. Crash, also saw your comment about the Israeli. I will not put on the. I will not put up. I will not advertise that statement. However, I will say that makes you pretty damn cool. Now, Keith, I can sure get behind a T-bone steak, but you can't cook in the field. Are you in the military, Keith? Somebody liked medium rare a while ago. I saw that. Sources Blue, yeah, they're still talking food. Guys, I can't get over how good Mark Maggard is. Just, the information, just how well he interacts with the chat when I can find him to get him up on the screen. How well he explained the 5 for 5, because like I said, I'm not going to lie. That stuff is all over my head. That's a good question, Peanut. Isn't Murray the only in-state school that Kentucky's never played? Honestly, what I'm thinking of with Wichita State is it just may be better for their strength of schedule, their RPI. I don't know where Murray's at this year. I don't know where Murray ranks. Are they still the best team in the OVC? The Devil's lettuce. I agree, Brian. Mark is the GOAT. Holly coming through with the basketball IQ question. Good question, Holly, but I'll go ahead and tell you, if I was a coach and I had to select what skill I'd want all my players to have, the number one skill I would probably pick is basketball IQ. It's just one area that, can really help you a lot at my level, at the high school level. If you know what you're doing and where you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to go, you're going to be hard to guard at the high school level. A lot of defenders get caught ball watching, so if you're willing to move without the ball, just knowing the IQ of when to move, when to cut. Me too, Amy. I love Mark. I appreciate him coming on a lot. Clyde, I'll tell you what popped up on my YouTube feed today that I'm probably going to watch here in a minute. 1995, Arkansas versus North Carolina. I think it was a Final Four game. Back with Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, maybe the big nasty Corliss Williamson. So that's probably what I'm going to watch later, maybe. Bengals 2-0 in the preseason. Yeah, Bengals, they didn't even play Flacco or Burrow yesterday. They played Josh Johnson. I know Josh Johnson's a journeyman, but I had no idea to believe that he was 40 years old, but he ran the offense pretty well last night. Satan Salad, I like it. I like the name. Guys, for those of you that care, Caitlin Clark put on a show tonight, 37 points on 8 made three-pointers and 10 assists. She didn't let the antics of Ennis Freedom stop her. I didn't realize they came back from 9 down with a minute 30 left, Peanut. That's I can tell you this, Brian. I believe the Bengals will keep me interested a lot longer than the Reds did. Good point, Holly. I definitely believe that because I think Pope is cerebral, analytical, just a smart dude. And I'm hoping that the same thing kind of happens to Rick Barnes this year. Rick Barnes kind of went a different approach. I think he recruited more of a defensive-minded team this year than offensive. Oh, I thought Arkansas won at 95. Who won at 95? Duke. UCLA beat Arkansas 95. Okay. I understand that. San Francisco 49ers had our number. I get it. I will tell you this. Last night, I put out a short after the Mark Mitchell commitment. It killed me that I couldn't really go live at the time because I was online doing a fantasy football draft. I specifically chose Saturday because I knew I was doing a show on Friday and Sunday, and I didn't want, and then, I kind of had in my mind after talking to Crash, kind of had in my mind that it was probably going to be Monday because of the just of the academics and being the admissions wasn't open on the weekend. And then I get it popped up on my phone. I'm like, damn, man, I can't even go live right now because here we are in the middle of the fantasy football draft. But, man, I wanted to. I think some people even messaged me and asked me if I was going live. Was it you that asked me? Somebody messaged me and asked me. I was too, Crash. It did happen. I think Chandler understood the reads well enough, but didn't have good enough ball handling skills and speed. Yeah, I think Chandler's a typical type Pope guy, but I think we also had to rely on Chandler a little too much. I will also say this, and I could be wrong. You all may not agree with me, but I truly believe that if Colin Chandler was our best player last year, we were in trouble. Dark Pope, we're not doing that here. No, sir, we're not doing that here. Yeah, but I like to do, one thing I've always done is after a recruit or a commitment, I've always gone live, right after. But the best I could do is I had to turn down the sound on my computer, pause the draft. It was my turn. I had like 3 or 4 minutes to make a pick. So I kind of hurry up and did just a short real quick, but I wish I was able to go live, but, sometimes things don't happen. But that was my Saturday night. All right. one of the things that I'm seeing in the BBN Hall of Fame chat, and you can take this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying I believe everything that I read in there. Some of the guys have good information, some of them do not. However, I will tell you this. Somebody says Fiore Bedunga was walking around on campus today in Louisville with a noticeable limp. Take that for what it's worth. Holly, it was killing me. It was killing me not to go live. It was killing me. Are you a New York Giants fan, Crash? Is that because of Wandale? Jared Lorenzen? Famous Jameis. Paxton, thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate you so much. Hope you were able to listen to Mark Maggard. He joined the show for the first hour and a half. If you didn't get a chance to listen to Mark Maggard, go back and listen to him. The guy is super knowledgeable and just does a really good job on this show. I appreciate you, my man. Crash says, been a Giants fan for a while. Wow. You've lived through some tough times, but I think Jackson Dart's will be all right. And listen, I'm a huge fan of Cam Scatterbo. If he can stay healthy, he'll be a 1,000-yard rusher. The thing that concerns me the most about Scatterbo is he runs so physical north and south that I'm just afraid he's not going to always be able to escape the injury bug because he's so damn physical. But man, he catches passes, he runs. I'm a big fan of the Giants. You know, I don't root for them, but I like watching all those young guys play. Bruce, don't we know, man? Don't we know? Barry Sanders, good fan, good fan. Crash and I are Holly's a Giants fan. Maybe we need to get to somewhere here in the near future and watch some football games together. I'm pretty free to drive wherever, as long as it's within a reasonable amount of difference. I was going to go to Louisville with Jake. Jake invited me today to watch some band play in Louisville, and I was going to go, but it's school night. If it had been on Saturday, I'd went. I'm watching the 2018 win versus West Virginia. That's a pretty dirty game, Brian. What game's Brian talking? Are you talking about the Bengals game, Neil? Oh, I love Scatterbo. Love him. We can show up. I don't know if I'll buy tickets to go watch the Bengals. I'm only about 45 minutes from the Bengals Stadium, but I'd just soon sit around with a bunch of people, talk, and watch the game on TV or whatever. So if y'all know somewhere y'all want to do that, hit me up. See, if you just got home, Jake, it'd probably be midnight before I got home. It probably would have been midnight before I got home. Jake, if you're new here, if you're just now joining, I don't know if you had it on while you were driving or whatever, but go back and listen to Mark Maggard. He was on for the first hour and a half. Well, Newport on the Levee might have something. I don't mind driving to Lexington. I'd like to get everybody to show up and watch. So we'll have to pick a date and see who all can show up. Love to get together, watch some football, and Clyde, are you asking about when you say, do you remember that game? Are you talking about the West Virginia-Kentucky basketball game? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, I remember that game. You didn't offend nobody. It's one of those topics that I don't want the chat to go off the rails. You know, it's obviously a topic that's going to have some people on one side and some people on the other. And you're a good person in the chat, so I'm not going to say too much, but I'm obviously on a different political setting than you are. But I also will agree that Enes Kanter has no business in WNBA basketball. Yeah, he does a really good job. Newport does have the aquarium. Listen, guys, find a place that the majority of the people can get to and do it. Do it. I can't wait. I want to meet some of you guys. We're also working on, I'm leaving it up to Crash. Once Stephen Peak gets back from vacation, we're going to get Crash and Stephen Peak on. Ennis Cantor tweeted, I just got kicked out of a WNBA game for supporting women. Let that sink in, America. And somebody commented about that earlier in the chat. So I can finally meet Crash. You know, Crash is like an enigma. Like, we all have in our mind what we want Crash to be, but when we meet him, I hope he ain't some huge disappointment. I'm just kidding, Crash. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not a lunatic on the left or a lunatic on the right. I lean more left than I do right, but I have no problem kicking either one of them in the when they need it. I agree 100%, because my honest opinion is none of them are working for me or us. Yeah, some of us, Clyde, we look so good. We ain't afraid to share what we look like. We look so good. Crash, listen, you'll do fine. You're built different. You were built for this moment, Crash. You were built for it. Did you all hear the beginning of the show with Doug Fahrenheit? Doug Fahrenheit was the intro. Did you all hear that? If y'all didn't hear it, let me know and I'll play it for those that didn't hear it. I can do a 2-hour podcast and still get in bed before 11 o'clock. This is awesome. I like the 8:30 time slot. For those of you that are new and just getting here late, here was Doug Fahrenheit talking about Mark Mitchell.
Yeah. Big Blue Nation, we got another one. Mark Mitchell, welcome to Kentucky. Pope kept a spot, and he played it just right. Now Mitchell's a Wildcat, blue and white. Mark Mitchell, welcome to the Blue. Rupp gonna rock when number 25 comes through. Mark Mitchell, hear Big Blue roar. From the paint to the three. Yeah, we're coming for more. Mitchell. Big Blue, give 'em hell. Cats, cats.
If you can't get behind Doug Fahrenheit, I don't know what's wrong. He even broke that one out in a little prose, little poetry. I just now realized that. Oh, hey, listen, Holly. Lawyer, you know, Peter, I'm going to give you, I can give you so many YouTubers from Massachusetts to follow because I know all about them. I follow them all. Nurse Kim, Auntie Deb, Cursed Turtle Boy. Oh, yeah, they're both lawyers. Yeah, I love it. Crash, I mean, I don't know if they were just playing. I remember that happening. I don't know if they were just jerking your chain, but if you say only a few people know who you are and that your handle is Captain Crash, then I don't think you got anything to worry about unless some of your sources have leaked. I told you, I will let you keep your camera off when you're on with Steven. You just got to show me backstage. Because nobody's going to be able to see you until I put you on. See, like, what you do is, before you come up, you can actually turn your camera off. I'm not 100% sure why it won't let me turn mine off, but yeah, I follow all kinds of. I don't know if you're familiar. It all started with the Karen Reed case. You may have seen it on Dateline. There's podcasts or there's documentaries on Netflix. There's documentary on YouTube. Karen Reed dated a Boston cop, and the Boston cop was murdered, and they tried to frame her saying she ran over him with her Lexus and killed him. And she was found. First trial was a hung jury, and the second trial she was proved not guilty. But they were from Massachusetts. So when I started following the Karen Reed trial, there's this guy who organized standouts, rolling rallies, had them all meeting at the courthouse. His name on YouTube's Turtle Boy, and Turtle Boy, he still does shows every week. And of course, all these people, Turtle Boy, Nurse Kim, Auntie Deb, Lawyer, all these guys out there they're talking about all these cases because there's been 3 cases in Massachusetts. The other one is Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She was a cop and got shot by another cop. And the other cop said that she drew her service weapon or something like that, and they proved that not true. She got to end up finding not guilty. Finding out how, and basically all these YouTubers from Massachusetts are corrupting, or I guess they should say they're pointing out the corruption of the Massachusetts law enforcement. I watch a lot of trials I watch every witness. I watch a lot. Ooh, long as I see you in the backstage, that's fine. I'll take that. Then I'll take a picture of it and send it to Matt Jones and tell him that he was on my show tonight, since he won't reply to me. He used to reply to me all the time when he wanted me to do stuff. Massachusetts, Travieso. I can tell you a story about Carmelo Travieso and Edgar Padilla. Did you know that backcourt was born on the same day in the same hospital room? Did you know that? That is kind of freaky, I know. I think I heard Calipari say it one time. I watched some of that case. Interesting exculpatory evidence and preponderance of guilt. Discovery was grasping. And that's the thing, like, when the Commonwealth has the burden, listen, there were some times watching that trial, it was so good that I watched that trial and I'm thinking, damn it, she did do this. Oh my gosh. And then I'd watch the next witness and I'd watch the cross-examination. I'd watch the evidence. I'm thinking, there's no way in hell she did this. There's no way in hell. So it was just a very good trial to watch because you really saw instances to where it could have went either way. Hey, and they were both born in Puerto Rico. They had a nice team. That UMass team that Kentucky beat. They had a real nice team. I'm not so sure UMass has had a very good team since, but something I'll tell y'all. When I did the 100th episode, which, guys, the support you all gave me for that, I'll never be able to forget it. Thank you guys for showing up. Like I said, that 100th show doesn't mean a whole lot to you guys, but really, you're all the reason that show even took place, because if y'all didn't show up, I'm not 100% sure I'd still be doing it that long. So I do appreciate the fact that you all took part in that, showed up. But once I logged off, and it uploads or whatever it does. It has to process, upload, whatever. The Ric Flair music and introduction got flagged. I had to remove it from the video, or it was going to take my monetization. Listen, you want to hear about another one? Think about this. O.J. Simpson. I watched the trial just recently, back and forth. I think Casey Anthony was guilty as well. I do. But O.J., I read a book and I watched the trial. The Commonwealth attorneys were Marcia Clark and Chris Darden. Those guys did absolutely. I felt like they had a slam dunk, softball, home run, lob pitch to knock that ball out of the park to convict him. They did absolutely nothing in trial. Of course, O.J. had F. Lee Bailey, Robert Shapiro, Johnny Cochran. O.J. had the best lawyers money could buy. Come to find out, the reason O.J. was found not guilty was the prosecutors didn't do anything. It came out in their book that the prosecutors, Marcia Clark and Chris Darden, were having an affair during the trial, and they weren't doing their homework at night, or they weren't preparing for witnesses or the case. And I watched it on Court TV. If you're talking about, yeah, we're talking about 96 UMass, Brian. If you're talking about the OJ, I watched it on Court TV. Yeah, OJ had the best. I mean, ultimately, and if you want to know the truth, Karen Reed had one of the best lawyers I've ever watched, two of the best lawyers I've ever watched in a courtroom. Alan Jackson, who's from California, big-time lawyer, it was phenomenal. And then Robert Alessi, probably one of the most brilliant men. He was proving experts wrong on science. Like, he was proving them wrong. But what was crazy about it is Robert Alessi, I think he's from New York. He did the case pro bono because that's how sure he was she was innocent. He's like, this is an injustice. They got the wrong person, blah, blah, blah. And he did it for free. Did I miss something from Jay? All I saw was if I did it. Jay, did you have a comment before that? I'm sorry if I missed it because I see everybody saying, well done, Jay. Or is that, or am I missing something? Bobby, hey, listen. Holly, do you ever watch Auntie Deb? It's this. I think it's actually 3 B's. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Listen. OJ, you did it. I know the court says otherwise, but listen. When I was rewatching that trial, Judge Ito, man, it's a guy, Holly. It's a guy, but he goes by Auntie Deb. Because he makes fun of Auntie Beverly Canoni, who was the judge of the Karen Reed case. Look her up on YouTube sometime. What's up, Keeper? Glad you're here, man. Stay hot. Hey, if you're just joining, I don't know if you were on here a little earlier, but if you're just joining, watch from the beginning when Mark Maggard was on here. I think you'll enjoy it. I've watched The Making of Murder. I've watched that. I can tell you what, I think he was innocent. But I can tell you what made me even more mad. I'm an advocate for special needs, special education children. I'm an advocate. And the way they did Brendan Dassey in that case, a kid had a sub 55 IQ, and they just basically twisted his arm, forcing him to admit he did it. Yeah, Roger, they did. I think it was in one of the first 2 games of the year. That UMass team with Canby, Padilla. Didn't they have Dante Bright? Listen, I'm beginning to think that go watch the documentary on Netflix called The Staircase with Michael Peterson. The Staircase. Man, there's a lot of crooked law enforcement out there, man. Lot. I'm beginning to find out. And I'm not saying all cops are bad, so don't, I'm a supporter of the law enforcement. But when you watch what exactly this law enforcement's doing, and you watch their evidence and how they do some of these investigations, it's an absolute mess. Hey, listen, yeah. If you do, the first hour and a half, Mark Magger was on, and he was great. He really was. What you gonna do when they come for you, bad boys, bad boys? The two guards were Carmelo Travieso and Edgar Padilla. Not only that, but he spread his hand out like that before. I mean, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. And I think all that did, that played right into the jury bought into that hook, line, and sinker. But also, if you go back and watch, there was of course, obviously OJ's son is going to have DNA that's similar to OJ's. But I watched a YouTube show one time, kind of almost good enough to make you believe that OJ's son had a part in it. And like I said, I don't believe that, but the way the show was presented, it was really good. Right. And I think ultimately cops are a resource. Cops are there to help you. Cops are there to be a resource. But there's some out there, and if you don't believe me, some out there are dirty, go research the name Michael Proctor, Proctor, Michael Proctor. He was a cop in Massachusetts that did a lot with the Karen Reed case, but his text messages got, once they got exposed, you kind of find out what kind of cop he was. But a lot of the people working in those cases were. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Like I said, I think OJ ultimately was the one, but they made a good point. Proctor's not in jail, so I don't know why he would, unless he's just going to take all of his charge. I don't even know if Proctor's been charged yet. He's been fired from law enforcement. There's so many cases that are, Karen Reed is suing him. I honestly didn't know that he was going to ask Trump for a pardon. He seems like the trash that Trump would pardon. It may be the same guy, but this guy's not in jail. You know who's asked Trump for a pardon that didn't get it? Oh boy, what's his name? Tiger King. And Neil, that's one statement you made that I hate to agree with. All of them aren't bad, but I'm beginning to think there's more bad out there than what I once originally thought. I have family in law enforcement. You'd be surprised how many crooked cops there is. Probably more than good cops, to be honest. Not saying my family members are crooked. Right, I get it. But you probably hear more stories and hear things. Rightfully so. What are your thoughts on the way security manhound kicked out the woman sitting silent? I'm not going to talk about this, Gary. What I will say is this. Keep Ennis Cantor Freedom far away from WNBA drafts, games, whatever. He has no business being there. Getting rid of him. Yeah, they're all crooked, Brian. They're all crooked. I'd almost be, yeah. Listen. You're never going to hear me say they're not. Yeah, Joe Exotic. That's what I was thinking of. Did you all watch that Tiger King during COVID when you couldn't do nothing else and just watch that train wreck? I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was the absolute biggest train wreck I've ever seen, but just like a train wreck, I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. JonBenet Ramsey's one that I think her family's involved. Mom, dad, brother, somewhere along the lines. That's what I'm saying, Jay. I believe he was. I was going to talk about that note. Yeah. There's a song out about Carol Baskin. Listen, I almost feel like that damn show had to be scripted. That was I couldn't keep my eyes off the Tiger King. I'm not going to lie. He's probably right. I wish they do away with all political parties. A lot of them are there meant to divide, to just to divide us. That's what somebody else was saying earlier, that Royce White or him, if they're draft, I would say that each WNBA team will have strict instructions not to draft either. But what would be funny if they both showed up at the draft, waiting to hear their name called. Chris White, is he that the dad that killed his wife and kids, like the neighbor, American Family, maybe? Is that what it's called, Jay? Yeah, and I saw where Chris Watts was remarried. I didn't know you could get married in jail. I mean, how can you marry somebody that's in jail for murdering their wife and kids? How could you do that? How, as another woman, could you marry a man that's sitting in prison for life without parole? I knew there was at one time. I didn't know exactly the time frame. He was. And there are sick people out there. And the thing is, the internet, YouTube, is like a community of sickos. Like, you can find out any information you want. But if it's a true crime documentary, I've probably seen it. Absolutely love them. Scott Peterson. Holly, there's actually, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but there's actually, they say they're wanting a retrial. They're actually saying there's new evidence out there saying he's innocent. And there's also, listen, you're all probably going to disagree with this. Of course, my mom lives in Idaho, so I'm playing, I pay a lot more attention to the Idaho murders just because she lives out there. But I don't think Brian Kohlberger did it. If you wasn't here for Mark Maggart Icon, you need to start from the beginning and watch him. Dude was great again. What's source say? That woman Chris Watts was having an affair with knew what he was going to do, and she encouraged him. Absolutely. Absolutely. It should be like an obstruction of justice or something. Crash, I'm sorry. I'm not really, like I told you on YouTube. And Crash, I wish you would comment your email address again, because I've missed it somewhere or another. So comment on, so I'll get the notification. But I didn't even know anything about Meghan and Harry. So I think Scott Peterson did it based on what I've seen to this point. The trials, documentaries, the things I've seen. But they say there's new evidence out saying he's innocent. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Jay, are you talking about the Siders, the 16 kids? Yeah, I mean, if that woman is what, like 34, 35, and she's got 16 kids, and they're all living in there, somebody had to know something nearby, that knowing that those kids had to be neglected and living in that kind of filth. Did you see videos of inside the home? Yeah, the Idaho. And the reason I just think there's something, hold on a minute. Yeah, I mean, I do online dating, but there is a site for incarcerated convicts. There's also a prison pen pal, to where you can find one looking for love, and you can just be their pen pal. the whole thing on the Netflix, the Idaho is Koberger. He is saying the body cam should prove that the cops forced him to admit doing it. It was either, and they said that if they kind of forced him, talking about taking the electric chair or the corporal punishment or whatever, and taking life, basically making a deal with him, whatever. But when I think something's shady, if you're going into that house, you wouldn't leave 2 kids alive. I think those 2 kids left alive know more and may be involved more than what we think. That's my take on the Idaho case. I did not see that, Mike, but I'd love to see that. Mike, if you're new here, please give me a subscribe. I don't know, you may have been here a while, just not commented, but I appreciate you commenting in the chat. I like it. Yeah, I'm open on it too. I still think there's, they had his evidence on the sheath, the knife sheath, whatever. There's still some evidence I think points towards him, but gotcha. Oh, okay. You're talking about the one in Moscow, Idaho, but okay, I get it. It just, I don't know. I think so too, Otis. But why leave 2 alive, Otis? There's 2 other kids in that house. Come on. Something's fishy about all that. But I'm with you right now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The 2 people left alive knew that there were gunshots, knew that people were hurt or killed, and they still waited 8 hours to call. Probably because they had to clean up. I'm so tore on it, I don't really know. I agree with that, Brian. I would never do that. I do believe that there's definitely a case that why you would think that. But right now, until I see the new evidence, it's hard for me not to think that. That's London, Kentucky. Yeah, that was that Doug Harkless case or whatever. Listen, there's a lot of stuff in Kentucky going to be going to trial soon that I'll be talking about probably. That Doug Harkless, that whole thing is shady, going to the wrong house. And then where the sheriff walked into the judge's chambers and shot him. It was Judge Mullins got shot by the sheriff. So, a lot of shady stuff going on. Appreciate you being here, Mike. Thanks, buddy. Comment all the time. Jump in here. We love differences of opinions. Well, most of us do. Mine too, Holly. Mine too. I'd love to be able to, if I could stream from work, I'd stream some of these trials and we could talk about them. But really, yeah, it's kind of like the Lindsay Clancy. Like if you watch the body camera footage about Mickey Steins, I don't know if I would say psychosis, like the defense is trying to say. But he was definitely, something was off about him. I will say that. Something was off about him. I believe that because just the way he acted, like the people that he knew and had worked with, and they were trying to get him to the Sally Port to get in the vehicle to be transported. And he's like, now, come on, guys. Come on, guys. I'll never make it out of here alive. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. I can't wait to see that trial. And it's kind of hard to watch that trial because they have video evidence of him shooting the judge. But I want you to look at something. If you're not familiar with Eric Mullins and Mickey Stein's case out of Whitesburg, which Letcher County. Look it up. Watch the video when Stein stands up, pulls out the weapon, and fires it. Tell me how much blood you see for a guy that just got shot 9 times. The judge supposedly got shot 9 times. I want you to watch that video and see how much blood you see. You don't think the 2 kids left alive, Jay, had something to do with it? No, they're not being real quiet if you follow them on Twitter. Now the thing is, Icon, here's the thing. Louisville still has a better roster than Kentucky. That's the new thing. In a lot of the rankings, Kentucky only moved up to 12th. Louisville's 8th. So Louisville's still ranked higher. I've not seen much from Arkansas other than I did see where Slim Jesus got ruled eligible. So that'll be good. I do want to watch him play. He's been ruled eligible. And there hasn't been too many Arkansas fans saying a whole lot, but the Louisville fans are chirping. Mendez brothers, what do you think? I think their parents were nuts, Roger. That's tough. I mean, they were denied parole, I know, but I think if you go back and look and some of the evidence and stuff, I think their parents kind of, I don't want to say forced, I don't know. Their parents were kind of crazy, I would think, if I'm remembering correctly. The first thing that pops into my head is them sitting front row in the back of that Mark Jackson basketball card. That's the first thing that pops into my head. Coach, do you think Mitchell could be disqualified midseason? Mark Maggard said it's possible. Said it just all depends on, he could play 4 or 5 games and then one of the courts could rule and say he thinks he's going to be eligible all year long, but he thinks everybody will be. But I guess that's possible. Are you talking about with the judge? The judge and the sheriff. They're trying to go insanity. They're right now they've been in court a couple times for motions and hearings. They've had doctors, but here's the thing: he's been evaluated, but now the state wants to get their own doctor in to evaluate him, and there's some things going on in court right now that I think they're still fighting over that. Yes, they don't like Kentucky's back. 9 times. There's a lot of things going on. Basically, from what I gather, and listen, guys, go watch Hillbilly Crime on Netflix. She's a lady from Jenkins. She's from Letcher County. She was at the courthouse today. This all went down. She's done all kinds of shows. She's got over 20-some thousand subscribers. It's called Hillbilly Crime. Her real name's Elizabeth Jones. She does an excellent job covering these cases. And she's had people on the show that were victims of the court because they would get in trouble with the court. Then if they performed sexual favors for the judge or other people in the court, sentences were reduced. Some of them were just wiped away. And they're saying that the sheriff was trying to protect some of them. Some people think the sheriff's a hero. Other people think that he's obviously a murderer. Either way, he's a murderer in my eyes. He killed a man. But some people feel like it was justified. But check out Hillbilly Crime on YouTube. No, I'm not. I'll check that out. Midwest Safety. Let me write that down. Midwest. The judge was in on a lot, Icon. I can't say exactly the pink flamingo, but to hear, she's had 3 or 4 victims on her show talk explicitly about Judge Mullins. about things that she saw. She was a victim herself, speaking openly about it. Cruiser cam, body cam stuff on Chase. Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, I'm definitely. Yeah, we're going. Yeah, we're going to throw a party online afterwards. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, they'll have an excuse. They'll have an excuse. It wasn't two girls, was it, Jay? I thought it was a girl and her boyfriend. I could be wrong, though. Do you think maybe Koberger was going to rob, found people there, so he fled, and those two didn't like the other four, so they shot him because they had an out? I don't know. I'm hoping we find out the true story, but I don't know if we ever will. Oh, did he ever put up 32 on us in the SEC tournament, Roger? Definitely going to be a great four-piece for us. Oh, listen, I could. I could do it now. I would probably just use the same show, but just do it on different nights. And honestly, the true crime world on YouTube, it's a lucrative business. Every true crime person I follow's got 10,000, 20,000. Turtle Boy's got 163,000 subscribers. He's probably got over 5,000, 6,000 members that are paying like $9.99 a month. Yeah, it's a lucrative business in the true crime. That's what I'm saying. They can't do that, Brian. They can't do that. If they start the season, they're going to let all of them play. And that's what I was telling, Anthony earlier, the Louisville guy, about Seth Trimble. He's going to be eligible. And we probably want Seth Trimble to be eligible, to be honest. Because if he's not eligible, I think there's probably going to be more of a chance that maybe they might make all of them ineligible. Yeah, we had a UK fan on here earlier. Look at this. Well, if you want to call this guy a UK fan. I mean, look at his Twitter name. And look now, Clyde, I saw you say 15 views, and I saw you laugh about that. But mind you, I screenshotted this probably at 3:15 or 3:20. That's 1 minute after it was out. If you go back and look up I'll go look it up real quick. I got Twitter open. Let me go look and see how many tweets, at Pope B Ball. I don't even follow this guy if that tells you anything. He was in a conversation with actually Mark Maggard, and he says he will not play basketball this upcoming season. Mark it down. And Mark Maggard replies, "Okay, it's marked." So I don't know why a UK guy would say this, but it's almost just as bad. Clyde, he's only got 43 views right now, so it's not any, Hillbilly Crime is good. Yeah, she does a great job. She got a good Facebook page too as well. I give that lady credit. Jenkins is a small place. Whitesburg is pretty small. These people that she's talking about. She's uncovering corruption within the courthouse, law enforcement, other places as well. She's called out ARCA, if you're familiar, or ARC maybe, with some of their financial stuff. And I'm just going to be honest with you. If I was her, I'd be a little careful. My head would be on a swivel. But I give her credit. She speaks the truth. Man, Freddie. I have been to the Flinkmino. That's all I want to say. Maybe you ought to take me to the Pink Flamingo. I've never been. The Blue Martini. I have been to the Big Blue Martini. Yes. I appreciate that, Source. I appreciate it. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, listen. Lawyer, I'll go look him up real quick just to kind of give you an idea. His name's Peter Tragos. 558,000 subscribers. And I wonder if he actually does any law work now because he probably makes so much money on YouTube. Right, that's what I'm saying, Clyde. 43 ain't no better than 15, but I didn't get a chance because Mark was talking. I saw your comment, and I just wanted you to know that was like maybe 1 or 2 minutes after it was posted, but now it's been 7 hours, and he's only got 43 views, so. I saw that. Listen, she tried to sponsor sports at Jenkins School. They declined her and said they didn't want her anywhere near that. They wouldn't take her money because she's uncovered some truth about all these people. And then she had to sue the school for her to be able to show up at games to watch her kids participate in sports. She won, thankfully. She won. But, I mean, that's crazy that you would have to do that. Listen, Brian, I know so many UK fans that have BBN in their bio on Twitter that are the biggest haters of Kentucky I've ever seen. All right, Paxton, if you're still here, I forgot to give you your round of applause. I appreciate your super chat. It helps a lot. Appreciate you. Hopefully with going back to what Elijah said about Big Blue Madness and the recruits, you know, Reese Austin, Uvwo, Rosser, those guys there. But I want, with our team that we have right now, the talent we have, I want us to put on a madness like we've never seen before. I want us to invite back some great alumni. I don't care if they played for Cal, Sutton, even Rupp, if there's any there. Billy Clyde. I'd love to see like a Patrick Patterson. I can probably download the sound clip, but the video, I will get one. Woo! Holly, the first time you give me a super chat, I'll give you a woo, but don't make it tonight. But yeah, I'm glad to know that some of you all gives us something else we can talk about. I love true crime, but more importantly, I love when things are going on in Kentucky. Like, for example, I mentioned last show that UK cheerleader, Lakin Snelling. I was really looking forward to that trial. I didn't know what kind of trial it would be because I knew she was guilty. It was obvious she was guilty. She pled not guilty. Well, she went back and changed her plea. And I think after she changed her plea, they gave her manslaughter, abuse of a corpse, and one other charge. I think it's going to go out to like 13 or 14 years, which I think she probably deserves a little bit more because she said in court how she unalived the baby, and the baby was born. The baby was alive and breathing. So to me, it's no different than murder. I think she's very lucky they're dropping it to manslaughter. So I'm a little I'm glad she changed her plea to guilty. You hear that? Yeah, for those of you that are new that watched my 100th episode, I'm not going to lie. I got flagged. I had to go back through and edit my Ric Flair. Holly, when you're ready to give that super chat, I got it ready for you. There we go. Says, I'll tell you what will plumb piss people off is all these guys are ruled ineligible, but Mark Mitchell. Listen, that's not going to happen, Icon, but if you want to see people riot, you let Mark Mitchell be the only person eligible. Oh, man. Twitter bio says, saved by the blood of Jesus, BBN Go Cats. Post says, go to hellfire. That's exactly right. I love when people claim to be they look their bifo Christian, raised in the blood of Jesus, and then they're cussing everybody out. It is awesome. Probably worth a super chat, right, Holly? Or at least a membership, right? Worth a membership? 99 cents a month? Huh, come on, Holly. She probably changed her plea to less. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. But regardless, I think she pled. I think changing the plea was the right thing to do because I think she was guilty. Source Blue finds it funny. If you all get the opportunity and you're on Twitter later on, go watch Natasha Cloud go at Ennis Freedom. She was hot. Hey, some of y'all probably don't follow the WNBA like I do, and I think I follow it a lot just because I'm a girls basketball coach, and I can relate to a lot of the things they do because, you know, they have to rely on offensive execution because they've got very few girls that go up and dunk on you until next year when Ennis and Royce get drafted. But as of right now, but the Washington Mystics got a good young crew. Man, Kiki Irifan. My cousin played with Kiki at Stanford for 1 year. They came to Louisville to play, and I wanted to watch her play so bad, and she was hurt. Listen, I don't know if she wanted that smoke. Hey, but I know Natasha Cloud, and she feisty. I don't know, Brian. I really do think that, you know, somebody said it earlier in the chat that Ennis is trying to do a good thing. I think he's trying to stand up for women. Yeah, we need to potentially, listen, guys. Redneck Brawl is going to be coming around again before long. If I'm going to train, we're going to have to get this membership up. 100 members at 99 cents a month ain't too much to ask. I can tell you what, and I think this was all. I don't want to give Peanut too much credit because you know how Peanut is. He starts getting the big head when you start giving him too much credit. But this, I will show you this. Let me get it up over here. Maybe. Oh, somebody bought a shirt while we've been sitting here. If that's one of you, I'll appreciate it. If not, thanks to whoever, if you come back and watch. But we were way before the times on this one here because if you've been on social media lately, this one's starting to resurface. That right there is starting to resurface with the cards. A lot of people are saying those two cards represented Mark Mitchell and Milan Momcilovic. Obviously, at that point in time when Momcilovic committed, we probably didn't know about Mark Mitchell. But that picture right there of Mark Pope on the beach is starting to resurface a lot. So, got that shirt in the store. My favorite one still is this one here. Let Pope cook. Can't wait to get it. What about our man here? What about our man? Somebody said, I appreciate you, oh Wildcat. I appreciate you a lot. Wildcat, just for you. This is for old Wildcat of the Mountains. Somebody said earlier, and I can't remember who it was, help me out. But I just now noticed, I didn't know that for another 24 hours or so, 33% off. T-shirts for $16 ain't actually a bad deal. I might order another one tonight. But no, listen to this. Who said earlier in the chat that I'm sorry, I can't make that. I can't make anything with a small UK logo on it. Probably be some kind of a copyright or brand. I try to, if you notice, I try to change the UK logos and stuff, or take them off, or move them, whatever. But somebody in the chat said that Doug Fahrenheit, I think it might have been Brian, needed his own handle. What does that mean? Does that mean he needs to be able to comment in the YouTube chat like he needs his own YouTube? Because he may have one. I don't know. Only time I ever hear from him is generally when he sends me in voicemails or video clips. Thank you, Neil. Thank you. What I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to do a giveaway for a shirt here before too long. Like to get into, I'll start doing some giveaways and things. Tonight's one of our biggest Twitter crowds we've had. We got about 43 on Twitter and about 60 on YouTube, so we got about 100 still. But Holly, I don't even know what a moderator is or how to make moderators. Holly, I'll make you a moderator for a membership. We'll do a deal. I do have the picture of him in the Spider cruising. You can get that on a shirt as well. But no, the one thing that I wish we would do a little bit better on is share the show. Like I even put on Twitter today, just for specific reference, when I put the link to the show that I was having, I put at the top, please share. And I had like 10 or 11 people like it. Not one person shared it, or maybe one person shared it. So I'm like, can you all not read? Oh, I usually get, most of the time it's anywhere between 70. There were times back when recruiting was hot and heavy, we were getting 200 people live every week. And I expect we'll get a few more live once the games actually start. Although we're nuts and follow recruiting, a lot of people don't. Icon, I told them this earlier. I wanted to so bad. That's why I put out the short that I did. But I was doing a fantasy football draft online, and I actually was using my StreamYard to record the fantasy football draft. I had 10 people on my screen because we have 10 people in the fantasy football league, and I just didn't really have any room. So what I did was, if you'll go back and look, I put the phone in front of me like right here, and I recorded a short while I paused everything going on and then uploaded it real quick. Because you're the man, son. You are the man. You're underwater demolition. No, we really do. And I've told a lot of people this. If you're all talking to people out there and you know they're Kentucky fans, just lead them to the broadcast. Lead them, it's like recruiting. It's your job to get them in here the first time. It's my job to make them come back. Okay? I added you. Maybe I didn't know who you were when I added you. I'm sure your username isn't Icon Bad GTA. But yeah, if you all send me a friend request, I usually add them back. GTO or GTX in the background of Doug Fahrenheit. He drives a Spider. Oh, Wildcat. He's got a Alfa Romano Spider. Now, I don't know what his plans are. If he plans on buying a new car, whatever. He's pretty. I mean, in all honesty, he kind of, other than when I send him on assignments, he kind of lives off the grid. Like, I had no idea he was sending in a message for the 100th video. I hadn't talked to him. I didn't even know he knew it was my 100th video. And then today, he sent me an email, and the email just had that audio attachment that I played for you all about the Mark Mitchell. So I guess maybe he sent that in because I sent him all the way to Louisville that day on that Mark Mitchell hearing, and nothing was decided. Okay, he does his own background, but I'll pass that on. Y'all, I saw somebody say, I think it was, who was it? Oh, it was Dark Pope. I heard him say that he thought that, he said that, Doug Fahrenheit was as real as Elijah's sources. And I couldn't put that up on the screen, but shame on you, Dark Pope, for not thinking that my man is real, because he is. My man is real. Doug Fahrenheit. I'm probably going to have to send him to cover some games this year, because, if Kentucky plays on the same night that I have a game, I asked him if he felt comfortable maybe doing a live or something, and he said he felt more comfortable recording a video than uploading the video than doing a live. And you're allowed to do that. Here's what I think about it. I think we all have sources, but I think some of our sources just don't know what they're talking about. The one thing I will tell you this. I know Elijah talks to a lot of the high school recruits on social media. I can tell you that. Now, I don't think that makes, take that for what it's worth. But I know he's talked to Uvwo and several others. But, you all remember me saying I could get off here at 10:30 and be asleep before 11? It's 11:15, and here I am still rocking. I've not done this in a while. Hey, Cats are back. I'm back. Hey, Cats are back. I'm back. After I tell the Easter Bunny. Do I play in Lexington any this year? I don't think so. I'll look at my schedule. I'll share my schedule. I don't have it with me at home right now. I'll have it online. Or I don't have it online yet, but I've got it down, printed out at school. We thought best not to play Henry Clay. We went to Henry Clay last year, and it was a debacle. If you've never heard me tell the Henry Clay story, I'll tell you sometime. Let me just tell you, the referees walked off the court. Hey, listen. I'm not questioning anybody's sources. Doug's, you got to remember, though, Doug's new in the game. A lot of the people he once covered probably either passed away or retired long ago. Remember, he broke Watergate 3 separate times. I doubt there's too many people from Watergate still living. The Alfa Romeo's a time machine. It is, absolutely. Hey, I'm not going on to bed just yet, oh Wildcat of the Mountains. I'm back. I'm back because I'm staying hot. I bring energy here. Let's go. No lie though, I probably am going 10 minutes or so. I do try to, with me my kids actually, my kids actually start school tomorrow. It's their first day. I may have just woke them up. But no lie, I made a roast carrots and potatoes today. I've eaten on that all day. I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't had it in a while. I make a pretty good roast, pretty good. Every once in a while I'll change it up, make a little Mississippi pot roast. I did that today. I just made straight roast carrots, potatoes, had a little cottage cheese and applesauce. Man. We got the September 5th is coming around, right around the corner. Kentucky football. I'm hoping I'm hoping they figure out a way to get Alex Safari. I did see where the word they used was dismissed. They're not letting Alex Safari practice with the team, which he's not eligible right now. So, or whatever Mark said the right terminology to use was. He said it wasn't about eligibility or ineligibility. But as of right now, Alex Safari is not allowed to practice with the team. Hopefully, I feel like that's one area of need that could definitely help our football team. I want us to come out on September 5th and just send a message. This ain't your mama's UK football team. Put up 45, 50 points, run them in the dirt, and don't stop. I just saw a fun fact. J.C. Sheldon played Ohio State. Okay, actually plays for the Chicago Sky right now. She is 0-14 against Caitlin Clark in college and pros. Oh, I'm with you, Holly. My kids don't like the Mississippi pot roast as well as just the regular roast. I like the Mississippi pot roast. And I tell you what I made. I made some dirty rice. Y'all ever make dirty rice, or have y'all ever had dirty rice? I made it yesterday. God, it was good. I've messaged both those guys, told them if they wanted to come on the show and debate, I'd be willing to debate with them or kind of point out their Kentucky hatred, but they're not. Hey, listen, I watched the roast, the Comedy Central roast. A lot of them are on Netflix. Go watch some of those newer ones. You want to talk about raunchy? The roast of Justin Bieber? That is, Lisa Lampanelli, the Queen of Mean. Wow. Yeah, they will. They play a lot of those weak teams, but what I hope here, this is the last thing I'm going to say. What I hope is our fan base doesn't jump off the ship if the first scrimmage against Texas Tech doesn't go well. And I'm not even talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about sloppy play. I'm talking about turnovers. I'm talking about missed shots. I don't want to see Milan miss 2 or 3, and they're like, oh, I thought this guy shot 50%. He's the best shooter in the country. What happened to him? It's a scrimmage for a reason, all right? It's a scrimmage for a reason. You're thinking of Woody Harrelson and Woody Harrelson is can't think of the black guy's name. Yeah, I do a Chuck roast too. Oh, Wesley Snipes, isn't it? Is it Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson? Billy Ho plays Wesley's. Woody Harrelson plays Billy Ho. Billy Ho's a fundamentally sound white boy that goes to the courts and tears it up. But hey, when the scrimmage happens, let's relax. It's October 20-something. All right, that's going to be a good weekend. I think football has a good game. Volleyball. Oh, speaking of, what about our volleyball team having a letdown today? And I'm not saying letdown as in Pittsburgh's bad, but they didn't play with the same intensity today as they did against Wisconsin. They got beat 3-1 against the Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 5-1 against Kentucky. Oh, listen, the best thing about KS Bar and Grill was their honey cornbread. Jalapeno honey cornbread. You ever have any of that? Oh, no, I don't know who that is. All right, guys. Hey, I'm slowly getting back. I'm back. 3 hours tonight. Shout out to Mark Maggers. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate each and every one of you stopping by. Shout out to Doug Fahrenheit for always keeping it real and always staying hot. This is Patrick Kelch. Stay tuned, stay hungry, stay humble, but as always and most importantly, stay hot.